And do. Hey everybody, it's my favorite guy, Think Before You Sleep, and he's got a banger for us today. Anyway, I'm gonna save the self-promo shit for later. So anyway, smash like button, do all the follow the socials, Patreon, blah blah blah. I'll shout it out at the end. Anyway, let's get to it.
One of the biggest lies that we have been telling in Western media is that Japan does not have feminism. I think it's really funny when people say that feminism doesn't exist in Japan because you are seeing it. I am obviously a feminist myself, so I support Japanese feminists.
Nobody cares. I swear these activists are the most annoying people on the planet.
Yep.
They constantly throw out the dumbest takes while pretending to be intelligent.
But you also kind of advocate a lot for feminism here in Japan.
I think a lot of feminists in Japan are trying to advocate for people to feel free to do what they want. And not only that, but to also not feel the pressure to become like a housewife or something like that, which you can do if you want to. But I think that you should have that choice and be able to say, oh,
It's like these women, like, they just like need something to like fight for, and like they're all like white chicks, and like they don't have like an actual struggle, so they need to like pick other people's struggles to fight for, even though nobody asked them.
okay, do I want to do this, or do I want to have my career, or do both?
Yes, that is the same person from the first video. She was using a face filter, which is... never mind. Anyway,
Wait, she was using a face filter to look Asian? Dude, that is so cringe. Oh my god.
her great solution to helping a country that's already in an extreme birthing crisis is to take a population that's known for working so many hours that they can't develop a social life and encourage more of them to enter the workforce. Well, then how do you fix the population crisis? Oh, right. We'll just fix that problem by destroying Japan's culture with mass third world immigration.
I mean, to be fair, I don't think anybody is like taking what that woman says seriously. I mean, like, I'm recording this right now while I'm live streaming on Twitch, and I'm pretty sure like nobody that like anybody watching me is like, oh my god, I 100% like I'm listening to her. I am blind to her ways of convincing
You stress
me.
the importance of like
No.
feminism having been around in Japan for much longer than
Yeah, like people I know get invited to this guy's podcast, like Softy Papa was on this guy's podcast. What is it? Who else? I think like two other people I know that have been on his podcast. This guy's podcast is like for anybody who wants to be in Japan, like be on a formal looking podcast. Like this is the closest thing to not Joe Rogan, the entity, but as like a Joe Rogan studio setup. I personally would like to be on the guy Golden Rush, their podcast. That's like an all Japanese podcast. That one's really cool. But this one is just like, I don't even know this guy, but he just seems to interview anybody that's willing to come down to Osaka. And I'm like,
we
know?
have. Is this something you regularly face in your comments as well? That, oh, you're a foreigner coming to Japan, you're bringing
all the
Western
time.
ideals here.
Well, I mean, this guy's smart. He's obviously like interviewing retards to like fucking like rage bait people to get more like people checking out his channel. But you know, I don't know. I mean, what do you say, right?
Yeah.
It's not your place to speak about this.
Definitely. And I think people love to say like, oh, you're a white woman. I'm like, yeah, but I'm talking about stuff. I've researched this, and it's all Japanese literature that I've looked at whenever I talk about these things.
No, you haven't. Which books? You
No, you haven't. Yeah, which books? Come on, I'm waiting. No, don't look. Don't check your phone. Come on, I'll wait. Let's see. Who is this douchebag? Right?
I didn't read them in
that's great.
Japanese because I've looked at your content and there is no way that you know enough Japanese to read college level material.
I love
She
it.
says in the podcast that she only really studied Japanese for a year, which is nowhere near enough time to get literate enough to read difficult books. She doesn't speak Japanese in any of her videos, which is a red flag. And the subtitles that she writes in videos like this on her YouTube channel are so awkward that they were almost certainly written by AI.
Yeah, like I want to know, how does Sylvie the Queen do that? Like I'd love to put like Japanese subtitles on my videos, but I don't know. I guess I'll have to ask somebody who knows Sylvie, because like if I could find a software or something, like I asked ChatGPT and I Googled it, but I couldn't find anything. Like, do they have people like randomly putting this in, or I don't know. It's cool though.
So it looks like she uses AI for
Nose
more than just
plastic
face
surgery,
filters.
yeah.
But I'm hoping that the more I talk about these things, the more that people will start to bring awareness. And I'm really hoping that
It's weird in like a time where everyone looks young. She looks old. Like I don't know her, and like this is like kind of an add-on to like being like, you know, her opinion and me not agreeing with it. But it's like You know, I know everybody looks bad in the wrong lighting, you know, but I mean, like, you look old, lady. Like, this is what happens when you put on too much makeup and don't, like, you know, moisturize your face enough, you know? How old is she? I don't know.
We'll start to see more Japanese people and foreigners alike come together.
Like, even if she's not old, she looks old.
And think, okay, well, clearly this is not the
She's
exact
50?
image
How
of
old is she,
Japan I had,
50?
and that's a good thing because it means that we can see what we have to change.
This is what I find to be most annoying. This girl is from England. She has been living in Japan for like 5 minutes. She doesn't speak the language, and she's like, yeah, we have to change everything about this country. The story of America is, shut up. This is the most annoying type of person, and as for me, as someone who has studied Japanese for years, if there are any political thoughts in my mind about Japan, it's not about how I can change all the things about their society that I don't like, but it is instead about how I can export the good things about Japan, like their very low crime rates. Which brings us to modern-day Twitter, where Elon Musk just made it so that posts by Japanese people auto-translate into English, and posts by English people auto-translate into Japanese. And after about 20 minutes of this, it started a cultural revolution that resulted in this flag here.
Friends.
Japanese people found out how much Americans like them, and Americans found out how much cultural appreciation of America that
I'm pretty sure those are swimsuit models or porn stars, but
there
that's
is in
pretty
Japan.
funny.
So basically, the sentiment of this moment in
Yeah, I
history—
love that. This is me right here. He is literally me. Be the American that Japanese think you are. Yep, dude, that's me. I got it. Oh shit! I just realized my socials are on twice. Oh, okay.
was both countries saying, wait, you guys love steak, hate mass immigration, and have annoying, violent leftists in your country too? It's a little depressing learning that Japan has these screaming idiots too.
Yeah.
But also, seeing on Twitter that we both have the same trauma has been like cultural group therapy between the Japanese and Americans.
Japanese Twitter and American Twitter and English Twitter, we're kind of all bonding over being incredibly racist and hating illegal immigrants and migrants in general.
So there was a very positive shaking of hands between the Japanese and Americans, but the part that I think is more relevant to this video is that this change to how Twitter works revealed that a lot of political tactics that are being used to degrade America are also being used to degrade Japan. And ever since Nick Shirley exposed that Somalian immigrants in Minnesota were scamming taxpayers out of, what was it, hundreds of millions of dollars, we've also started asking where else these scams are being run, because if you think it's only happening in Minnesota, you're an idiot. Now, we've been told that we need these people in America due to labor shortages, but considering, you know, all of the theft, and considering research like this that indicates that people from these cultures marked in yellow, orange, and red are a net negative on society, or at best, provide little to no economic value, I think that excuse is bullshit. But look where else the labor shortage excuse is being used.
The number of foreigners working in Japan hits an all-time high.
It's quite a cool thing to see. Much needed, given the decline of population. The LDP, the ruling government over the last sort of decade, has been kind of sneakily bringing in more and more people. They've done a pretty good job bringing in sort of 250,000 foreigners a year to fill the gap of workers, because there just aren't enough young people in Japan to fill all the jobs, the vacancies that are popping up.
Okay, so you have a few less 7-Elevens in Japan until the birth rates go back up. It's not a major sacrifice, just watch in the next corner and you'll find another one. Supposedly these work visas are for stuff like taking care of the elderly, but if you just walk around Tokyo for like 20 minutes, you can see that many of the newcomers are not working those types of jobs. Now, one especially nosy American...
I don't really give a shit about the convenience store workers. People can complain. Like, I saw this viral video of Japanese people being like, oh my God, this guy, he's like, there's potato chips in the bags and they're on the ground and like he's putting them on the shelf. And I'm like, the food is in the bag. There's no kind of germ that's going to kill you from being on the outside of your bag. Like, what, are you licking the outside of the bag before that? It's like, I don't give a shit. I think the foreigners that come here to work at convenience stores, they're not the ones doing crime. It's the guys that come to Japan that are working at factories and like farms that get beaten by by their bosses that are like, you know what, fuck this. I'm just going to go steal copper from like that solar plant that has no security. Like, those are the foreigners I'm concerned about. Like the ones that like are clearly being used just to be like just strung out until they get pissed off. Because I know some foreigners are coming here clearly to commit crime, but then there's other ones that are just like, yeah, I'm here to learn Japanese and just hang out and save money. Like, I mean, I've gotten used to foreigners being convenience stores. I mean, like, this has been like happening over 20 years where they slowly come in, but it's just that, like, when you have foreigners taking over jobs that are, I don't know, it's just they're allowing it as, like, you know, like in America, they're having all those Indian guys come in and they're not actually like working at a place or going to a school, and then they just like go and like what are they doing, right? They're just collecting money from the government. Like, that's not cool. Like, we don't want that, you know. But yeah, anyway, let's keep going.
A foreigner might say, hey, why not do some investigation to see if you can create an effective plan of action to get Japanese people to have more kids, instead of importing tons of people from China on work visas who very often report that they hate Japanese people. If the ruling party in Japan has to sneak immigrants into the country, then that's probably because it's a policy that Japanese citizens don't like. But doesn't this sound so similar to America, where you have numerous different groups of third worlders who reside in our country, who wave the flags of their country of origin as they say America is a horrible place? Which brings us to this incredibly interesting video here from Japan of some sort of protest or demonstration with signs in English about racism, and if you slow it down, you can see that it's full of liberal women who clearly aren't Japanese.
According to their fashion and no-shame dancing middle of the street, they're probably the Westerners. And then they're holding this. So it's a I stand against racism. This is basically Japanese communist propaganda.
Yeah, it's stupid, dirty commie bullshit. I don't know. It reminds me of like back in the Biden era where they're like, you can't just be against racism, or like you can't just not be racist. You also have to be anti-racist, and then you let those idiots like control the narrative, and it's just like, nah, man. Like, at the end of the day, like, I don't know. Like, I think that people that don't have, like, I was talking about this during my YouTube live stream, how it's like all these people, they're all white people, or they're all like Japanese people, like people who aren't really like super oppressed, you know? Like, you go to Congo and there's like literal gangs that have taken over the like different parts of the country, and like they'll just kill. I mean, like, even in Nigeria, right? Like, Muslims are killing tons of Christians and shit. Like, that's actual suffering. These guys are like, we're against racism, and it's like, if you ever go up to any of them and you're like, what have you done besides show posters? Like have you gone to like any of the farms where like these dudes were getting beaten and like do something, like give them, you know, a place to stay or anything? No, but you know, I've got to. I mean, these guys are basically the incels of any country. They're the dudes who are like, I have no personality, but I want to look good enough so like stupid other mentally ill women will fuck me. Like, that's pretty much it, you know?
I need to explain this. This is just a kind of group of people who call racist everyone. Everyone who against immigrations, everyone who against mass immigrations, everyone talk about foreigners, they call you racist.
Go to South Africa if you think you're tough. Yeah, right.
Like super toxic in Japanese society, in my opinion. And I really think it's rude. They moved to Japan because I think they don't love where they're from, and they love Japan, and they moved to Japan, right? Why do they think Japan should change for them?
Again, as an American?
Yeah, I mean, it's so funny that like all these liberals come to Japan. It's like all the people from California who voted for like people, like the government to ruin California, and then they move to Texas and they start doing that there too. You know, it's just like, why? They're like, well, communism didn't work that time, but it will this time. Like, totally. And what? And, you know, it's like all these people, like you'll see on like, well, not Twitter, but maybe Facebook, all these people come to Japan and they praise it for being such a safe, clean country. And then like, they don't acknowledge at all that this was built on a conservative base for the longest time. And the reason why it's so safe is because they're hard on everything, you know? Like, they're hard on like even a little bit of crime. You know, like they used to vet like vet people instead of just mass stamping. Yep, here you go, come on in. Like, there's I mean, it's funny how 20 years can really change how like a country starts reacting to foreigners.
And I feel seen, I feel heard, because we have annoying white liberal communists in our country too.
Yep.
And we hate them.
I just think it's hilarious because who the fuck are you to tell somebody else that they can't live here? Because you were born here? Obviously, you never learned how to check your privilege, and other people just want to...
Wait, is this guy, like, joking? Like, is it satire, or is this, like, for real?
...come here and live a prosperous life. Who the fuck are you to tell somebody else?
I really wish... I don't want any of these people to die. I think that's too rough. But it's like, if it's like I have a genie, right? I'm like, ooh, genie, I rub the lamp, and then it's like, oh, master, what is your first wish? I wish everybody with that guy's opinion gets instantly teleported to South Africa. Just from where you're living? No, I mean all around the world. Just have them go to the most violent places. Can you just transfer all those guys to the most violent places in the world? Yeah, but yeah, okay, boom. There you go. Your wish is done. What's the other 2 wishes? I don't know. I'll think about it later. But I'm gonna like go on the internet now and watch what happens. Oh my God, they're raping me. Oh help! Just be so good.
I'm better than you. I deserve a nice life. You don't. Who the fuck are you to say that?
Well, since you asked, I'm an American citizen, and as an American citizen, I will say that it's not the moral obligation of Americans to allow newcomers to live here. If they want nice lives, then they can fight to fix their own countries. In fact, we don't have to let any immigrants live here. As for Japan, they don't have to let any of these communist immigrants live in their country either. They can just kick them out. Why would they take any of this shit from people who aren't even Japanese?
Exactly.
Japan is not communist country. We don't want communism in Japan.
Communists suck.
Red Rose group. Anyone who against them, you are racist.
Yeah.
And just remember, they were professional of making the racism out of nowhere.
Anyone who knows anything about communism doesn't want it in their country. So much like in America, a lot of Japanese people have been pretty vocal about how they don't want tons of newcomers to flood into their country. And the newcomers aren't exactly peaceful about that. Which brings us to Yusuke Kawai, who's sort of a famous right-wing troll in Japan. If you want to have an American equivalent, maybe Alex Stein going to council meetings and doing stuff like this would be a good comparison.
AOC, my favorite big booty Latina. I love you, AOC. You're my favorite. Look at that booty on AOC. That's my favorite big booty Latina. I love it. My favorite AOC. Nice to meet you, AOC.
Again, Yusuke is sort of a Japanese version of that. And so recently, he was just north of Tokyo in Saitama, protesting a Kurdish festival because there's been a lot of friction between Japanese people and Muslims in recent years. And gee, I can't imagine why. Could it be because Muslims routinely try to force their values and Sharia law on the people of the countries they immigrate to?
Yeah.
Or could it be the culture of violence that Muslim immigrants are known for?
Extreme jihad? What? This G Gundam? Oh no, that's Digimon. Oh shit.
Oh, so I see the Japanese have known about this stuff for a while. Anyway, so at this Kurdish festival, someone punched Yusuke.
Yeah, he got slapped. He didn't get punched. Like, that was a way big overreaction. But, when you're a politician, you got to sell it. Still, you shouldn't be putting hands on people ever, Like, I mean, I think of it this way. If you're a foreigner and you went and you punched some guy and, like, that guy didn't assault you, he had nothing to do with you, I think you should immediately get deported. Like, that's what I think. Like, if you're just, like, if they, it's Japan. They got CCTVs everywhere. They show the footage from you going from the train station or whatever all the way to this guy, and then you're like, oh, I see him, and you just attack him. That's automatic visa renewal or visa revocation. Yeah. Just get, you're done. Like, the moment you put hands on anybody in a country where you're a guest and you're not a citizen, like, you just, I don't know. I think you should get the ban hammer. Because, like, low impulse retards like this don't deserve to be in the country. Just
Obviously,
general.
I can't show the actual hit because of YouTube, but it's pretty easy to find on Twitter. Now, I'll be honest, Yusuke reacted to the hit a little dramatically, kind of like he was auditioning to play professional basketball. But the overall point here is that there shouldn't have been a person to strike him in the first place.
Yep.
And when it comes to America, we really should be pushing for extreme penalties for political violence instead of the usual catch and release policy that we have now. If we stop tolerating it, it won't happen. Notice how people only block roads in California and New York instead of places like Texas or Florida where you're allowed to run them over.
Yep.
But because these radicals know they can get away with being forceful and being violent, they will keep getting in your face and keep doing it.
That guy's saying, I have no balls and I want somebody to beat me up really badly. Please, somebody love me. Please, that's what he's saying, in case you guys don't know Japanese. That's what he's saying. Sametsu yamero. Gluck, gluck, gluck. Dude, he went to Glucktown. Oh my god. This guy has no father. This guy has, like, no father at all. This is what happens when you eat too much soy and you don't have a dad.
Yes, you heard that correctly. I'm sure this has nothing to do with woke Western liberals, but the term hate speech is a part of the Japanese vocabulary, and this guy appears to want someone to be criminally punished for saying Japanese people first, which is what is written on his sash. This is another incident with Yusuke Kawai, and I don't get why this guy is screaming in his face. I don't even see what the problem is with saying Japanese people first. Favoring your native population.
Well, no, I mean, like, the problem is that dirty commie leftist pieces of shit have no foot to stand on when it comes to the stuff they believe about. So instead of actually having a nice, I mean, this is why they killed Charlie Kirk, because he actually was willing to be civil, and every single time he had a civil debate with these people, they couldn't stand on 2 feet, and so they killed him. I mean, like, that's the Communist Manifesto right there, is that you're such an evil piece of shit that, like, I mean, like, communism and multiculturalism, it's like, in theory, if everybody was nice and pure and there was no corruption ever, then yeah, that could work, maybe. But that's not the real world. The real world, you have, like, the French fucking president, you know, like, doing cocaine and, like, getting caught doing cocaine. You've got, like, you know, you have all these different politicians, just like Gavin Newsom passing a law to not allow investigation about fraud. You know, like, you've got all these people that are just playing dirty. And, like, these people are like, well, we're fighting for the rights of all these different people and shit. And it's just like, I don't know, man. It's just, it's fucking stupid. It's just like they're like, well, I'm helping people. Yeah, but, like, if you help one person, but then, like, 5 people get hurt, don't you think you're helping the wrong people? Yeah, but, you know, I want to feel good about myself, so I'm doing, you know, like, the Disney Channel thing. And it's just like, shut up.
Should really be the policy of every government. It's not a country's obligation to act as a charity for other countries. It's the job of immigrants to show that they are of value to the people who are already there,
yeah, exactly.
Or they don't get to come. Otherwise, you just get a bunch of flunkies shopping around for whatever country gives them the most benefits.
Do babies born in Japan get citizenship? The simple answer is no.
Parasite. Just parasite, dude. I'm happy Japan doesn't grant automatic citizenship because, like, in a way, that's really nice that Japan doesn't do birthright citizenship because it forces you, like, you know, like, I consider myself pretty right-wing, but I'm not, like fucking racist right wing, you know? Like, I don't care if people race mix. I don't give a shit about that. Just be good people and don't fuck with other people. So it's like, I like that, like, in Japan, it's like, oh, how does my kid get citizenship? Well, it's simple. Just marry a Japanese person. Have kids with them. Like, Japan needs more of a population boost, and all these, like, fucking retards are like, yeah, well, race mixing bad. I'm like, dude, all it takes is two fucking generations to get back to that original race that you're so fucking, you know, having a boner over. Like, just marry. If you go to another country and you're gonna be there long term, you should marry somebody from that country. The benefits they way outweigh the thing, and then hire, like, if you just, like, marry another foreigner, there's no, like, it's like, I did it for love. I'm like, no, you did it because you're insecure and you don't like the people from that country. So you went for the low-hanging fruit of somebody because you felt like you had a connection with them than trying to connect with the locals. That's what I see anyway. They go to South Africa if you think you're so tough. Yeah, what up, Kiryu? What it does, dude? Yeah, we're recording. Yeah. Go over to Twitch if you want your comment to be in the video.
It depends on the parent's nationality. But honestly, I've seen people ask, then what's the point of giving birth in Japan? It's more about the environment. Japan is safe, well-structured, clean, and that's the kind of environment that shapes a child mindset and future. What matters most to me is raising my child in a place that gives them discipline, exposure, and loads of opportunities.
Another cultural export that America should take from Japan, birthright citizenship to children born to non-citizens should be abolished.
This is from a Japanese language school. These places used to be a great experience for learning Japanese, but now they're just basically become a third world work visa farms. If you're going to Japan on a student visa to learn Japanese, then make sure you do your research of the area of the school so you aren't surrounded by people who actually care about Japanese culture. Yeah, I mean, instead of doctors and engineers who are trying to exploit the system. Yeah, I mean, like, Japan has a thing now where if you go to a Japanese language school, then you can go to, like, a Japanese vocational school, and then you can, like, it makes it easier to find a job after that. But I I don't know. I was talking to my buddy Jim about that. He came over today to film some video game videos, and one of the topics we were talking about is like one thing that is cool is that I watch a lot of dubs. You know, like The Boys season 5 is out right now. Invincible season 4 is out, and I've watched both of those series from the beginning in Japanese because they're dubbed on Amazon, right? And so I'm playing with my hair here, I love watching dubs, like Japanese dubs. Like I love watching Casino and like Goodfellas and Sopranos dubbed in Japanese. Like I love dub stuff. And when you see stuff like I'm trying to think, there was like a video game. Oh, what was it? A video game. Why can't I think about it? Because, like, with a dub, you don't see the person's lips match what they're saying, right? So you can tell it's, like, it's fake and it's weird, right? But when you're watching, like, a video game or something, what video game was I watching? There was, like, a new video game, and it was all Westerners, but they were speaking Japanese. But it was, like, one of those realistic-looking video games. And I thought that was so cool. Like, just seeing all these other foreigners completely speaking Japanese. And I was just thinking one benefit of having all these people come in is that I mean, first of all, like I'm anti-mass immigration, right? But one thing that's cool is that all these people, their kids are going to go to Japanese school, which means you're going to have a whole big generation of foreigners that grew up in Japan that probably don't speak, like if they do speak another language, they don't speak it as well as they speak Japanese. And I think that's really cool. Like just having a whole group, because no other Asian country is doing that right now. Not China, not Korea, not Thailand. Like all these people are like going there and like, you know, like what is it? Thailand is just like retired people and shit, right? But it's like all these people that are coming to Japan that are foreigners or foreign couples. Like I was on Threads the other day, and all these couples are like, my kid's ceremony, opening, entrance ceremony at their school. And that was really cool. Like it's like, oh wow, all these kids are growing up in a Japanese environment where they know Japan more than any other country, which means they're gonna be defending Japan more. They're gonna be like they're gonna be like certain people. They're gonna be like the black dudes who like support Gypsy Crusader kind of thing. Gonna be like, yeah, we love your work, it's great. You know, it's like not like that, but something similar. It's gonna be funny to see a whole new generation of people that aren't even ethnically Japanese, but they're like they get offended by other people and they want to support Japan. Like I know that there's like in like London and like Europe and stuff. Like they have all these like mass immigration people coming here and everything, but in Japan, like you legally have to put your kid in school. If they don't, like you get in trouble. So, and besides, the parents don't want to take care of the kids either, so they put them in the school. And if they're born in Japan, they're gonna have to learn Japanese. They're gonna go through the school system, which makes them basically Japanese people that are foreigners. And I find that pretty cool.
Outside of that, I don't see how watching a video like this wouldn't make someone who is a native of that country extremely mad. Countries are a team, and the last thing a country needs is a horde of societal leeches who, instead of talking about what value they're going to bring to the group, they talk about how it's a much better place to socialize their child than their home country, or about all the benefits they get. This person is not loyal to Japan, just like the people who do that in America aren't loyal to America. They're just here for the free shit.
I think that if this is part of the Conservative rebrand to attract the young, it's deeply, deeply embarrassing. People don't want...
Why is it embarrassing to sing the national anthem?
And I think inviting people who are coming to your country...
Oh, God, yeah. I mean, all those people that are, like, anti-anything. Like, it's so... Like, I mean, in England, that's so fucked up. You can't wave your flag. Like, in Japan, they don't have a rule against that. Like... It's kind of like before, back in the day, it's kind of cringe. You don't do it unless it's like a holiday. Otherwise you look like ultra right wing. But like even in my apartment on my ceiling, I've got like a Japanese flag and an American flag hanging there. I wanted the bonsai flag from like 1950s, but that I couldn't find a big one, so I had to go with the regular one. But yeah, I mean it's just
country,
supporting nationalism in the country where you're in. I think that in general, this isn't like a 1980s, like, you know, like a liberal line piece movie, right? Where it's like, these guys are racist against retarded people or something, right? Like, I think most countries, if they see that you've assimilated, meaning like you learn the language and you don't come with all these entitlement bullshit things, and you're not trying to change the rules of the country, I think a lot of people are welcoming. But for some reason, in 2026, people don't want to do that for some reason.
Because they think it's a great place, but instead because they want to receive welfare is an extremely dangerous thing. As I said, based on this Netherlands study, people from these countries are generally net negative contributors to society.
Yeah.
They either cost the country money or provide little to no economic benefit.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's simple. They're just trying to replace the original population of that country, so that like retarded, lazy people just, you know, I don't think they expect them to vote. I think they just hope they vote, or at least like, you know, like they're all cheating in elections. Like, I mean, even in Belgium, they like threw some guy in jail just because he was getting a popular vote. I mean, like, it's all corrupt bullshit.
And in exchange, you get a bunch of people who don't speak your language and are loyal to other nations. Technically, this is assault. This is political violence. If it happened in America and it was my decision, this chick would be on a plane back to China. Zero tolerance for political violence. I am so tired of this shit, and it will only stop when these people are brutally punished for it.
Yeah.
If you don't think it's that bad, then imagine if a man did this to a woman. Now, there is some missing context here. I'm not sure what the lady said that was so offensive that she deserved to be grabbed, but everything she said afterward was incredibly based. Basically, she's saying that it's not a smart idea to flood Chinese people into Japan and allow them to naturalize, because if you do that, they will start outvoting Japanese people and destroy the culture. Gee, isn't that yet again an incredibly similar problem to what we see going on in America?
Yeah, that is very true. But also they, I think, you know, like this might, I mean, there's only like 2 people who watch these videos on YouTube, but, you know, my long-term resident Japan opinion on this is that if you don't get Japanese citizenship, you shouldn't be able to buy land in Japan at all. If you want to buy a condo, like one condo, like limit 1 or something, maybe that's okay. But like, you shouldn't be able to buy land. You shouldn't be able to develop land. Like, you know, unless you marry a Japanese person. And like, they do the Thai thing, right? Where like it's 100% like Japanese owned, because yeah, you know, Japan has limited amount of geography and good places, and yeah, but Japan, like any country, is full of corrupt politicians that just want money too. So they're getting kickbacks as well. I mean, like this Chinese woman who killed 5 people with her car in Yokohama, the judge let her go because she wasn't mentally competent. And like, that guy was obviously paid. Like, he was obviously paid money, dude. Or blackmailed or something, you know? But
as we have
anyway,
like 10 different racial groups who are not assimilating and creating their own insular communities and outvoting the native population in certain areas. Right now, Texas is basically being invaded by India. This state is unrecognizable from the state that I moved into several years ago, as it is very easy to walk outside and be in an environment where 80 to 90% of the people aren't speaking English. I feel like a foreigner in my own country. And by the way, tons of them have committed fraud to move here. Now, outside of birthright citizenship, I'm not sure what the laws are around this stuff in Japan, but as for America, the fact that we let foreigners do stuff like hold political office is insane.
Yeah, I can't believe that America and other countries allow that. Like, I understand if you're like a naturalized citizen and you're looking for like a local position, but I can't believe like America allows that. Like, I don't know. I think that Japan's trying to make a law. I don't think it's official yet, but they're trying to make it so that if you become a citizen, you can't run for, because right now, if you're a citizen, you can run for office. Like, you can run as a politician. Like, it doesn't matter if you were a foreigner before. As long as you become a citizen, you can do that. But they're trying to change it so only your kids can become politicians after that. So you have to, like, you know, your generation can't do it, but the next generation can. And yeah, that boggles my mind in America that they let foreigners run for. I mean, like, wasn't the mayor of Boston or like somebody in California, like, they were Chinese? They had like dual citizenship. Like, I love the fact that Japan doesn't allow dual citizenship. It's like, no, you're on our team or you're not, dude. And that's why it's so scary when Chinese people get citizenship in Japan, because I would guarantee probably 99% of them keep their Chinese passport. And that shit's scary, dude, because that just means that like they could do a ton of legal shit and then just run away back to China afterwards. It's just
You should not be able to hold any office if you were foreign born, because that's what's been allowing them to one by one create insular and non-assimilated communities and take over entire cities and counties. This has been destroying American values and culture. Only people who are born in America to American citizens should be able to hold office. Now, I'm all for exploring other cultures. I love seeing the ideas of other people and how other countries operate. But when it comes to political influence from foreigners, we should be far more protective of American values.
今日本語喋れなくても帰化ができるし、5年ですよ。5年住んで日本語喋れなくても帰化できるんですよ、日本。
I don't know how true that is because you do have to have interviews, I thought. But, because like one of my friends here is an immigration lawyer, and he says if you don't read or you have to read or write at least at a third grade level. But if you write your essay, I mean, you have to write it down, but you don't have to do it right in front of them. But they do give you multiple interviews in Japanese, but I don't know how lax they are about any of that. So, but yeah, that is fucked up that you can become a Japanese citizen faster than you can become a permanent resident in Japan. And also, it's easier for you to become a Japanese citizen if you get it quick. Because if you do like 20 years like I do, they're going to go through every fucking year, and it just takes a long time because they're going through every year. But if you've only been here for, 5 years or so, then they're like, oh yeah, it's okay, good, boom.
のシステムだと。それは緩すぎるんですよ。帰化を厳しくしろ。
I believe that's the same woman from before who was attacked by the Chinese lady, saying that it only takes 5 years to become a Japanese citizen, just like in America, and you don't even have to be able to speak Japanese that well.
Wait, in
Though
America
I think
it only
Japan
takes
is
5
changing
years?
this law to 10 years, and America should follow in their footsteps so that it's much harder for political cheaters to just import voters. But this lady brings up interesting points that I want to talk about here, which is why we need to be careful about who we allow into the country, and we should probably make it harder for foreigners to influence our politics. I don't think becoming a citizen should be impossible for newcomers, but it should be harder, because in addition to all the other stuff I've said, unless they have immigrated from a country that speaks the same language, an extremely uncomfortable number of immigrants have a very low proficiency in the national language of the countries that they immigrate to, which makes them super easy to manipulate.
Yeah.
And what I found is that this is not just because of certain cultures immigrating. It's actually a function of any unchecked immigration. Now, I'm not saying that the culture doesn't matter. The culture of the immigrant absolutely matters. However, immigrants in general tend to engage in offending behavior unless standards are set.
According to a survey to foreign workers, about 70% can't speak Japanese well. Among them, 30% hardly speak it, and about 50% only manage a basic conversation.
So I would love to think that these stats exclude people who are in groups that I belong to. However, it is quite common for Americans and other Westerners to immigrate to Japan, reside there for many years, and speak either very little or no Japanese. And to talk more about that, allow me to direct your attention to a YouTuber podcast that's filmed in Japan called Trash Taste.
Okay, before we get into that, it's funny because I spent, 5 hours of the day today filming with my buddy Jim, who has a gaming channel called Mad Panic Gaming. And he's been in Japan, I don't know, over 10 years. Like, he was here as the military, then he went to college here, and now he's been working for like 7 years. So I think total it's like 12 or 13 plus years. And Jim doesn't speak Japanese. He doesn't write Japanese. He can't speak, he can't speak, read, or write Japanese. I want to get on his ass for like not getting into, Japanese stuff. But at the same time, I don't know, I get on a lot of asses. I feel like at the end of the day, it's like my friends trying to tell me to like lose weight or something, like nobody's going to change themselves until they want to do it. But I think the difference between my buddy Jim and people like this is he never really gives opinions about Japan. And more importantly, he never really he never complains about Japan. He understands that like as a foreigner, you're pretty much a second-class citizen. What you see is what you get, but you get a lot of good stuff. So there's no real reason to complain. And, Jim still tries his best to go out and, like, make Japanese friends and, like, use whatever little Japanese he has. But I remember Oriental Pro was like, well, you always talk shit about Americans that don't learn Japanese, or like foreigners who come to Japan don't learn Japanese. Why is it you give Jim a pass? And I'm like, I don't know. It's just simply that Jim doesn't complain. Jim lives his life, does his YouTube, has interesting hobbies, and he never complains about this country. That's the whole thing. It's like when your whole shtick is that you're like, I know about this country, and like, okay, can you speak some Japanese? No, it's like, That's when you get angry. It's like me telling people like how to lose weight or how to be like an Olympic athlete. It's like, do you have any video of you doing pole vault practice or marathon running? No, but just take my word for it. It's like, But yeah, let's see what he has to say about Trash Taste, guys.
Welcome to another episode of Trash Taste. I'm joined once again by the boys, and we have a returning guest because you're back in Japan now.
Yeah, I did show that clip for a specific reason.
Guy.
I was a fan of this podcast until they spent multiple episodes glazing a famous pro-communist terrorist animal abuser named Hassan Piker. That's a lot of qualifications. Anyway, as I said, Trash Taste is a podcast in Japan featuring 3 hosts named Joey, Connor, and Garnt, who talk about anime, food, Japanese culture, and tell cute little personal stories about what it's like to live in Japan.
I went to a public onsen in Niseko. Niseko is a very famous ski resort in Hokkaido. It's also famous for being a Japanese ski resort with 0 Japanese people in it. Mm-hmm. It is so goddamn expensive that no Japanese people are there.
It's basically Australia.
I was at a bar in Niseko after skiing, and I was lining up, and there was this Japanese guy, and he was super talkative and genki. And I was joking. I was like, "Hey, you're like the only Japanese guy I've seen here." And he's like, "Oh, yes." like he realized he in real time that his friends had all been priced out or something. I don't know.
It's the first time he realized he's a minority in his own country.
It was crazy. There's not a single Japanese person.
Huh. Japanese people are getting priced out of their own local spots because of over-tourism. Gee, I wonder whose fault that is. And for the people who are going to actually me because the tourists aren't all Westerners, note that these guys also have their tourism content translated into other languages. Now, as it relates to this video's topic, the reason that I want to talk about this podcast is because 2/3 of it, Connor and Garnt, have been living in Japan, well, we're getting closer and closer to 7 years every day, and they speak almost no Japanese, which really makes them some of the biggest tourists in Japan. Not only that, but this podcast relates to a bigger foreigner in Japan YouTuber group filled with numerous people who also speak little to no Japanese, like Abroad in Japan and Premiere 2, who have both lived in Japan for over a decade and are not fluent. And they aren't even close to fluency either. By fluency, I mean that you can have a non-routine, spontaneous conversation with an adult native speaker without having the native speaker significantly dumb down their language so that you can understand them. None of the people in question in this video are anywhere near that good at Japanese. The only exception to the rule here is Joey, who is a native speaker, so if you're wondering why I'm not talking about him in the video, that's why. That being said, I've been studying Japanese for a number of years now, and I've really started improving a lot since I began taking it seriously about 1.5 years ago. So at this point, I would like to be as transparent as possible with how good I am at the language, because recently, as I've gotten much better, I've come to find out that a lot of people on YouTube lie about their foreign language abilities.
Having spent, 13 years in Japan, it's important, I think, to protect Japan's cultural identity to some degree, and people have to, if they're going to permanently live and build a life in Japan, it makes sense that they should be able to communicate in the language. Not necessarily to a native degree. I wouldn't be able to say I could speak or communicate in Japanese to a native level, but I'd say I'm fluent conversationally.
Yeah.
Can read and write and whatnot.
Bro, I've seen numerous examples of your very limited Japanese. I've had native speakers review it, and there is no way in hell that you are anywhere near conversationally fluent in the way that most people envision.
The sad thing is that I bet Chris can have normal conversations with people, but he never films it. I get the impression that Chris, for me today I tried doing a live stream on an all Japanese people website, and in Japanese. And the thing is that if I have people talking to me, it's fine. But if I'm just talking to myself, talking out loud, it's really hard for me to actually just bullshit and just just spiel. And I'd like to see like a hidden camera or something of Chris having a normal conversation with a Japanese person, because I bet when you're that, like, as much as I love to shit on Chris for being a piece of shit and attacking Pearl, you can't live this long in Japan without being able just to have normal conversations. But every single time you got a camera on you, especially when you got as many subscribers as him, you're probably very like worried about having your Japanese being judged. That's why it's like I have all these live stream clips and like other videos of me speaking Japanese in like real time, because if my Japanese sucks, that just means I need to get better. And it's like, yeah, it's like, oh, if you've been in Japan that long and like your Japanese is like that much shit, and I'm like, well, dude, if you speak better Japanese than me, I'd love to hear some pointers from you. Like, I'm always open to criticism when it comes to my Japanese level, because I'm always trying to get better, But with Chris, I just yeah, I mean, like, it's I'm guessing being around foreigners all the time doesn't help. Like, for me, it's so funny. I was looking at a video of mine from maybe a year or two ago, and no, it was from like a year ago, and like I released it recently. It's the one about me going viral on TikTok or whatever, for my video interview of Mobile Mally. And in that video I was like, oh, my Japanese is not that good, blah 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 blah. But that video is from like literally like May of last year, maybe like even April or early June. And like in that video, it's just like I'm talking about the experience. I'm like, my Japanese sucks, it's not that good. But like since October of last year, so like, I don't know, like 6 months ish, give or take, like every weekday night, for the most part, I've been studying Japanese. And what I've been doing is just like writing down Japanese as much as possible in my journal. And then also like I'm reading Japanese when I go outside. I mean, I was doing that anyway, but I'm reading it more. And also, like, I started just like writing down like Wikipedia articles and stuff into my notebooks, just on subjects that I was interested in. And anyway, I've been only doing that for 6 months plus, like, because I already do immersion, right? Like, I play Skyrim in Japanese all the time. Like, I watch stuff like The Boys and like Invincible, and like, I don't know, as many new TV shows as I can. I try to watch them in Japanese. And so like I'm getting my listening immersion in. But anyway, like 2 weeks ago, I decided to take like one of those practice JLPT2 tests, and I hadn't studied at all for the JLPT2, like not at all. I had just been doing my own thing of like mass immersion plus like just overall vocabulary practice every day, and I did that for about like 4 to 5 hours a day, a couple times a week, and yeah, like I was able to pass that test with a 73%, but like that's pretty good considering I hadn't even studied for that test. So, I mean, like the fucked up thing is that all these guys, if they just simply put in the time, they will get naturally better. Like, it's just like you put in a couple hours like per week. I mean, the more you put in, the better. But like at the end, like the way I see it is like, okay, it's either I do 0 hours of studying Japanese, or I get 20 hours. It's like, I should have more. I'm like, well, 20 hours is still pretty good, Chris looks more and more like a slobbish UK politician every day. I'd like to punch that accent of his.
He's not literate.
Aren't you from the UK, or you lived in the UK? That's pretty funny.
Either. And he's spoken numerous times about not studying, this being one of the examples.
It is the most incredible thing, learning Japanese. Probably my favorite thing about living in Japan, full stop, is studying the language.
Him saying that studying Japanese is one of his favorite things is probably the most egregious lie that he's told his fan base about his language proficiency. Anyway, that was friend of Trash Taste Chris Broad, who owns the biggest foreigner in Japan YouTube channel called Abroad in Japan.
Yep.
You might recognize him as the guy from earlier who was promoting third world immigration. I think his skill at Japanese is B1 on the European scale based on the clips that I've seen. He's probably around 2 years of study away from the kind of fluency that he pretends to have.
I didn't even know there's a scale. What's the best one? Understand with ease virtually everything heard or read. Summarize information from different spoken and written sources, reconstructing arguments and accounts in coherent presentation. Express yourself spontaneously, very fluently and precisely, differentiating finer shades of meaning even in more complex situations. Oh, man. Yeah, there was like some words, like some grammar on the JLPT2 that I was like, I never use this stuff. I don't know this stuff. Like, unless I specifically went out of my way to study this stuff, like, I never hear this in movies. I never use this, like, in real life. So it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, oh, this is book Japanese. Okay, I got to learn some book non-practical Japanese. Here we go.
For those of you who don't know, the European language scale is one of the most commonly accepted ways of mapping people's language proficiency. If you look at the scale on screen, I would say that my language ability in Japanese is B2, which is what I would consider to be basic fluency. This means I can talk about any topic I desire, but I might lack specific words that would make my life easier. So if I wanted to talk about politics, I might say person on the left or person on the right, instead of liberal or conservative. Politics is difficult because there are like 7 different ways to describe the left and the right. Now, based on the prior definition that I gave, I do not consider myself to be genuinely fluent in Japanese. I think most regular people would say that when they think of someone being fluent in a language, the description for C1 is what they have in mind.
Wait, does this guy have any videos of him actually speaking Japanese? Like, I haven't checked out his channel since he made the video talking shit about Chris, but I'd be curious to see what his Japanese level is.
With an emphasis on being able to express yourself easily or fluently in spontaneous conversation. A spontaneous conversation is like a general conversation about a random topic like video games or politics or some school subject. A routine conversation would be like ordering food, casual greetings, or a self-introduction. And for language learners, I caution you because a lot of people on the internet will trick viewers into thinking that they are fluent by showing routine conversations that are very easy to learn within a couple of weeks. That's how polyglot scams work.
My name is Language Simp, and I am a hyper-polyglot alpha male gigachad. Today, I'm going to be reading from a script in a bunch of languages that I don't know anything about in order to try to make a lot of money off of YouTube ad revenue. I just memorized these phrases from Google Translate this morning, but I'm sure that dumb Americans are going to eat this shit up like Big Macs from McDonald's.
Outside of that, Japanese is a very standardized and popular language, so I've mapped out what I need to go from B2 to real fluency, which is C1, and I can get there in maybe 6 months or so. I'm not saying that to gloat. I'm saying that to point out that any of the complicated translations for Japanese in this video were checked over or done by a native speaker or someone who has achieved mastery in the language. It would be nice if some of the people that I'm talking about in this video who film interviews and ask questions that are way above their skill level in Japanese were more transparent about that. But now that we've gotten all the expository information out of the way...
I mean, I seriously wonder, why don't they show... Like, why doesn't Chris show more of himself speaking Japanese? Like, I understand why Charlotte doesn't do it. Like, his wife, Charlotte, did... Like, she was... her channel for like the first year or two was entirely in Japanese, but then she got stalked horribly by some guy who like tried to rape or kill her or something, like break into her house, and she's like, oh, okay, so if I make content for Japanese people, that's going to attract the most unhinged Japanese people, so I don't want them to be... Oh, shit! I want my name to be Spaghetti. Oh, it's Spaghetti. Whatever, I don't care. You know, just do what I tell you. Dude, 25 fucking gift subs from Madman Jr. Dukes. Thank you, buddy. Holy shit. I wasn't even planning on streaming tonight. What up, big homie? What up, dude? Thank you for the 25 big ones. Yeah. In case you guys don't know, I stream this on Twitch while I'm recording it. So, yeah. Come on over and you can be part of the video, too. Yeah, but anyway, I understand why Chris might not want to put himself in the video speaking Japanese because his wife was almost like assaulted because she garnered like a really toxic, like small fan base that wanted to like do stuff to her. But Chris is already like a big name. Like he's been on TV. He's got like a huge YouTube channel. Like Japanese people are at least like, it's not hard for Japanese people to find who, like, like his YouTube channel and stuff, right? So I wonder why he doesn't just show it on occasion. Like, it would make more sense if he just, like, I don't know. I'm just saying, like, where's the harm in showing that? Is it that he's ashamed because he's been here for so long and he doesn't think his level is fluent enough? Is he worried about crazy stalkers and getting more attention from them? Is he worried, like the people that he does business with are going to be turned off by his, like, low level of Japanese? Like, I don't know. Like, I wonder what exactly his thinking is behind this. And I know, Chris, you're secretly watching this. I know that you're watching all these reaction videos to you. I'm really curious, Chris, because, like, you obviously know Japanese well enough to fucking do stuff. So, like, why don't you ever show it, man?
Allow me to just re-emphasize that it's not only
neither.
illegal immigration that's the problem. We should also be paying attention to the behavior of legal immigrants who are long-term residents as well, especially when they don't offer the most fundamental courtesy as a person who is an outsider, which is learning the primary language of the country that they move to. We'll start with the most embarrassing example, which comes from Garnt, who also goes by Giguk on YouTube. Now, to preface this part, I was wasting time on Twitter debating Trash Taste fans, saying that none of them speak Japanese except for Joey, and this was a video recommendation given by one of their fans, who assured me that Garnt speaks Japanese.
I want two of them. Oh, shit.
You've got to be kidding me. Why am I studying
Dude,
so much?
5
and all
more
I have to
gift
do is
subs.
be able to
Thank
say,
you, man,
"Yoroshiku
Junior
onegaishimasu,"
You
and
sexy
everyone
guy.
will think
Hell
I'm
yeah,
fluent.
dude.
That's lesson 1 of Japanese. I could have just stopped there.
Dude,
If you
streaming
don't
on
know what
Twitch is
Yoroshiku
badass.
onegaishimasu means, it's kind of difficult to translate without paragraphs of information, but basically it's something that you say to be
level
polite.
7 hype. That's
Hajimemashite
badass.
means nice to meet you. That one's easy. So this is a video about Garnt producing an anime, and he has a translator carrying the weight for him the entire time.
How would you pronounce house in Thai?
Barn.
Note that there are multiple moments in this
gifted wing
documentary
too.
where
Thank
Garnt
you,
speaks
buddy.
Thai.
Hell yeah.
So if he actually spoke Japanese, then he would almost certainly
There
be
you
showing
go,
that
buddy.
off.
Hell yeah.
Now, initially, this part was going to be much longer to fully prove my point, but after I saw this video, I cut all of it because the video makes it apparent that Garnt has barely studied Japanese. I would have trouble saying that he's achieved A1 on the European scale, which is beginner level. I mean, is it even anime if the creator doesn't speak Japanese? Though, as a former fan of Trash Taste, this really shocked me. I was actually also pretty shocked about how low Chris Broad's Japanese level was as a former fan. I was a fan of Abroad in Japan until he altered a video of a friend of mine to make it look like she was laughing at homeless people.
Yeah, Chris is a piece of shit for that. Yeah, I wonder, like, you know, I know that there's, I remember I used to work for this guy from, like, Romania or something, and, like, he was really based. Like, he was hilariously racist. Like, just like, you know, like Russian grandma cooking borscht, you know, kind of racist, just, like, hilarious. But he spoke, like, pretty decent Japanese. Like, it was totally conversational. But, like, when he did anything business related, he didn't want to seem rude. And so, like, he didn't speak business Japanese. So he would on purpose have his assistant who spoke English and Japanese translate for him to make it look like there's more of a barrier. And so I wonder if these guys are doing, because I don't think these guys are that, because, like, to do that, you have to have a certain amount of understanding of how Japanese culture is and how they judge you. But I don't think these guys understand that. So I don't want to just say those guys know that, but who knows?
Which is defamation. But the reason the whole language thing shocked me is because I've watched them talk about learning Japanese and studying numerous times on the podcast, so I thought they were staying current and trying their best to become really good at the language, but it turns out they hadn't really studied at all.
You're going to Japanese school,
I am going to study now.
I go once a week for like 1 hour. No, 2 hours.
It's my speaking skills. I don't have as much experience actually outputting. That's the big challenge for me. Here's the problem, guys. I am an introvert when I speak English. Now, imagine being an introvert and not really speaking so much, except you have to practice a language you're not so familiar in. Bro, that's trying to learn a new language and trying output is so hard naturally.
How do you have bad speaking skills when you live in Japan? Go out.
Yeah, right? How do you, well, you live literally in Japan, dude. Someone should expose Chris to Japanese tourism officials. Well, I mean, I think he's probably all on the up and up if he's got a fucking, like, actual business
outside.
Here, you know?
I mean, you're rich. Just pay for italki.
Yeah.
He's totally lying here. He's not antisocial. He doesn't talk to Japanese people because he's a beginner and he can't speak the language.
I mean, that is kind of the thing that sucks about probably, like, being a big YouTuber, like, to show some iDub style empathy. It must be hard because you're always wondering who knows you from YouTube and who doesn't, and if they have bad intentions or something. But at the same time, I mean, like, you know, you gotta be able to put yourself out there, man. You gotta be able to, like, you know, luckily a lot of Japanese people do not know any like non-Japanese YouTubers. They really don't. And so, like, if he was worried about being recognized or something, probably that's not going to happen. So, I mean, like, the best part about being in Japan, aside from, like, Japan as a society, is, like, the people. The people in Japan are great. They're so fun. They're so interesting. And like not to just to be around foreigners the whole time is such a waste, you know?
Based on this documentary, Garnt literally only knows words that you hear in anime.
For those of you who don't know what a weeaboo is, they try to learn Japanese through the anime they watch and usually end up pronouncing it wrong and looking like a complete idiot.
Well, the funny thing is like you could still learn Japanese from anime, but you have to actually do the language acquisition. You actually got to do the flashcards and everything too, though.
I'm glad to see that after, holy shit, 11 years, that nothing has changed. But these guys don't have kids. How are they so busy? I also work ridiculous hours, and I still find time to study. I mean, shit, this guy learned Japanese, Garnt. You can hear him speaking it in your documentary. Going back to the stats from Nobita's video, this is not only common, it's actually the norm for Western foreigners to immigrate to Japan long-term and either speak no Japanese or very little Japanese. Just for reference, Connor and Garnt moved to Japan in November of 2019, so they've been living there for 6.5 years. Both of them are beginners and can barely speak an entire sentence. For clarity, 6.5 years is more than enough time to get fluent without even that strict of a study plan. Premier 2 has been living in Japan for like 14 years, I think, which is more than enough time to be almost as good as a native speaker. He's still a beginner who knows maybe 10 words. Chris Broad, or Abroad in Japan, has been living there for 13 years. His Japanese is maybe lower intermediate level. A real key piece of evidence that they aren't even close to fluency is that you can't find videos of them speaking Japanese for extended periods of time. You can't find them doing something like a 20-minute interview where they only speak Japanese. Whereas when people are actually fluent, it's super easy to find.
That's one thing I'm really proud of is that I have one thing that I've done this year and last year is that I had a bunch of unused footage from me traveling up until now. And like I look at some of that footage and I'm like, God damn, like my Japanese sucks. It's not that good. But like when you see it, like it's like 10 to 20 minutes. I have a whole video that's like 2 hours long of me just talking to some chicks in a hookah bar. And like I'm just gonna publish the whole video. Like I don't give a shit. And like I'm not subtitling any of these. If any of you guys ever want to subtitle my stuff, please let me know. But like I'm putting it out there though. Like if people like your Japanese sucks, I'm like, yeah, I need to get. Like, you know, I'm trying to get, like, you know, better every day, right? But it's like I'm still putting it out there, though. These guys, they don't want to put any of that out there. Lucas suspended 10 years in Japan, only spoke 3 words.
And I'm speaking.
Yatane, yeah, that's right.
本当はカタカナ英語で言いたいところなんですけれども
Oh, this is Nick
英語で言い切ってしまうとコメントなんでこれだからアメリカ
英語に言ってしまうと
人は全部が英語だと思いやがってって言われたりするんで
思いやがって思われたりする Damn, his Japanese is really fucking good. Like, I can understand everything he's saying, but I never talk like that.
カタカナの言葉外来語です
That's a Japanese pop singer from America.
Yeah, Niku Chanaru. Yeah, this guy's cool. I think I've reacted to 1 or 2 of his videos. This guy is great. Like, he learned Japanese at super fluency, came over here, became a singer, and he's just gone, like, basically just full native, dude.
America named Nicholas Edwards, who moved to Japan around the same time that Chris Broad did, maybe a year or so before. And if you can't tell, Nick's Japanese is phenomenal. This is probably the best I've ever heard from a non-native speaker. And unlike our experts in all things about Japan, like
that's like you have to be like super committed and you have to really want to be Japanese too. That's the thing. Like you have to really you have to get rid of that ego part. That's like, you know, like, no, like this guy went full bore, you know, full native. I did that when I first came to Japan, and then I was just like, I don't know. I don't want to be Japanese anymore. I'd rather be Gaijin. But this guy really jumped into it full bore, you know, and sometimes it's good, and you end up like this guy who still loves Japan and is great, and then you have like other dudes like that black dude who was a singer in Pearl's video, who's like, he married like 2 Japanese chicks. He's divorced both of them, and he's just he's had kind of like liberal takes on Japan, and like Japanese people just like fucking just, you know, if you're a black guy in Japan, like they're already gonna be racist to you. It doesn't matter how many people have been nice to you. Like it's better to keep comments like that. Like, you know, you're like, you know, Japan's not gonna be America 2026 for a while, so it's like you gotta accept that Japan is quite racist towards non-white people, pretty much. And so, like, if this guy had opinions about that, he'd probably get away with it. But when you're a black dude, you're already getting a lot of pushback from the trolls. And when you just say something like, I think Japan needs to have more diversity, it's like, oh, dude, you just lit the dynamite, man. So, I don't know. It's unfortunate, but yeah, you either become bitter because people don't accept you, or you become like this guy who accept that most people don't accept you unless you act like the foreigner they want you to act like. And this guy speaks absolutely amazing Japanese, but he still never forgets that he's a foreigner, you know? Actually, I think this guy became a citizen.
Like Chris Broad or the two non-Japanese members of Trash Taste, you can easily find Nick speaking for extended periods of time.
Yeah.
You can find him saying complicated things, and unlike Chris Broad and the Trash Taste flunkies, you can find him pronouncing things correctly without an incredibly thick accent. The reason that you can't find these other guys, except Joey, speaking Japanese for a long period of time is because none of them are anywhere near fluent, and the reason for that is because they all live in foreigner bubbles. Now, I've already showed this clip in a different video, but I think it bears repeating to show the difference in lifestyles between someone who cares to learn the language and someone who is pretending to care to get viewership from people who can't tell how bad his Japanese is. So here's the only video in existence where you can find Chris speaking Japanese for more than like 2 seconds, and basically he just tells on himself the entire time. I don't know why he said any of this shit if he wants people thinking he's good.
Cosmo86 suggested speak only in Japanese, so for the entire day. Can you do it, Chris?
Dekimasu! No problem, I can do it, but I do need a few coffees. I find in the morning, which is now I'm crap at Japanese, it just doesn't come out my head, so I haven't actually spoken Japanese in a long time.
It's good practice.
I really don't speak it as much as I should, because a lot of my friends speak English rather well.
That's the thing. They always want to practice English, so you feel bad speaking Japanese with them.
It's going to be pretty tough, I think.
You haven't spoken in a while? You live in Japan. Go outside. If you're conversationally fluent, I'm not saying that you have to speak every day, but how do you live in Japan and go like a week without speaking Japanese? Also, Chris surrounding himself with only people who speak English is a key indicator that he doesn't give a shit about learning the language. It says that Chris has no interest in Japanese people at all, as someone who has chosen to live in their country. And if you don't understand how bad this is, then listen to the lifestyle of someone who is actually good at the language.
I speak English, not even 1% of the time. I don't work with anybody who speaks English natively. Japanese people don't want to speak English with me because I speak Japanese.
Right, you're in Japan and you've been there.
Yeah, well, the whole thing is that when Japanese people hear immediately, like that's one of the things that people I don't think understand when they're first moving to Japan. When Japanese people hear that you're automatically like really fluent, they're not really going to try to speak English with you because your Japanese is way superior to their English. And if they're Japanese people that grew up abroad and they already know English, they're not really going to care. They're not going to try to practice their English on you. But that's the thing. Like, if you're speaking Japanese with any kind of like hesitation or with like a heavy accent, they might treat you like a foreigner, talk down to you. But that's the whole thing. It's just like when it comes down to it, you have to put more effort into the actual language than Japanese people are. It's that simple. If you do that, then Japanese people are going to be like, oh, okay. Well, this guy, he gets it. I'm just going to speak to him in Japanese. I remember that was one of the nice things about not living in Tokyo. In Tokyo, there's so many tourists here that they assume that I speak only English. And I don't really mind. It used to bother me, but I don't care now because, it is what it is. Like, you can't fight City Hall kind of thing. But I remember being in Chiba and then just like Japanese people would automatically just be like, I don't know how it is now, but back when I lived in Chiba, they'd be like, yeah, they just speak to me in Japanese, and then they wouldn't try to speak English. They wouldn't try to they'd just be like, why don't you speak Japanese? You should speak Japanese. It made me feel good. It was like peer pressure for learning Japanese. I was in Japan 3 weeks in January. My Japanese is bad because I'm lazy, but 3 weeks there, I wish I knew more. I cannot imagine living there and not knowing Japanese. That's crazy, yeah. John, you can always learn Japanese, and come back. Dad, if they think Japanese is hard, try learning Zulu, the words with the click of the tongue.
For a while, dude. So why would you almost exclusively be speaking English? No one found it weird when Chris said that? How does your Japanese get rusty when you live in Japan? As for Nick, who is actually good, note that he said that Japanese people don't want to speak English to him. Personally, I've noticed that if Japanese people are trying to speak English to you, it's because they think you're bad at Japanese. It's their country and they want to speak their language. And if you don't see how offensive everything these long-term tourists are saying is, then listen to this.
If you're spending 10 years in Japan and you're working in Japan and your friends are Japanese, you don't want to spend your whole life knowing that people are holding back because they're worried that you might not understand, or you might not get a joke, or you might not get this, or you might not get this reference or that reference. That's not the best feeling. I live in Japan and I know that my life is here, so I want to make sure that I'm not having to like miss out on anything, I guess, just because
exactly
I started at a completely different place than everybody around me.
I think that listening to Nick speak about his experience in Japan and then comparing that to the Trash Taste friend group just makes them look like complete assholes.
Yeah.
Nothing has pushed me more to learn Japanese than going to the country and wanting to speak with the people who are there. So when you go 6 to 14 years and you can barely speak, it says to me that you don't care about the native population of the country that you're a resident in. All right, we haven't even gone over Connor from Trash Taste. Connor is the master of overstating how good he is at Japanese. And I want to get into this for one because it gives everyone an idea of the mindset of the people who immigrate to a country and refuse to learn the language. Now, if you're a tourist or a short-term resident, I don't care if you don't speak the language, just respect the natives and don't break the law. But when it comes to long-term residents, especially when it comes to America, because that's where I live, I really want to use this to display how eager tons of immigrants are to take the benefits of a country as they stay in their own insular foreigner communities and make little to no effort to assimilate into the culture they're benefiting from. I'm doing this in the hopes that Americans will start getting a little bit more upset when people reside in our country for over a decade with zero language proficiency in English, because things like that are bad for the US. Second, I'm kind of tired of so many influencers lying about their language abilities, and Chris Broad and Trash Taste lie to their fans so frequently about their skill level at Japanese, either directly or by omission, that basically all of their fans think they're pros. And don't gaslight me on this, I've wasted an embarrassing amount of time arguing with their fans on Twitter. Let's just say it was research so I can cope. But during one of these conversations, a fan of Trash Taste who said I was a clown kindly provided me numerous links and assured me that Connor definitely speaks Japanese. I gotta say, I've never seen a more incriminating set of videos that makes Connor look bad. Now, I'm going to note that the upcoming clips are from different time periods, but I really don't see much of a difference in Connor's Japanese between the older clips from right when he moved and the ones that are more recent. So I'm showing this moment first to say that this is the best clip of him that I watched. Let's see how good Connor has gotten during his time in Japan.
はい、負けてにとワイドショックでクッキーリカプチューお願いします。以上です。追加でお願いします。
Are you YouTuber?
Yeah, I'm YouTuber, yeah, yeah.
日本のことを発信してますか？
そう。日本4年住んでいます。4年？そう、4年。
Wow, Nihongo Jozu, so he can order food and say how long he's been living in Japan. This is literally one of the first few lessons in Japanese. You can teach someone how to have this entire dialogue in 1 week. These are all extremely routine conversation points that he goes through every day. Notice how the cashier immediately switches to English when something out of the customer cashier routine is asked. And also notice as the conversation switches back to Japanese and she asks him what he's streaming, instead of elaborating on the question, he says yes and then moves the conversation back to a routine dialogue tree that he can easily understand by saying that he's been living in Japan for 4 years. This is how I can tell he's a beginner, because when you start speaking, you can't say what you want to say, so he has to continue the conversation by saying what he can say. What I mean by that is that it sounds unnatural if the cashier says, "Are you streaming stuff about Japan?" And Connor says, "Yeah, I've been living in Japan for 4 years." That sounds weird. A more natural thing to say would be something like, "Yeah, I'm showing my friend around Tokyo." But his Japanese isn't good enough to move away from the standard self-introduction dialogue tree, which indicates that his language ability is not very good. Nothing about this conversation is really spontaneous. Go to Japan for like a week and you'll have this type of conversation like 50 times. Anyway, now that I've shown his best clip, let's travel back in time 3 years to Connor after he'd been in Japan for a year, so we can hear him talk out of his ass about how good he is.
How good is Connor's Japanese on a scale of 1 to 10? That depends what you consider 10. Is 10 fluent? And 1 is 0? And I guess 5 is conversational? I guess I would put myself at a 3, maybe? Like, not quite good enough to hold conversations, but good enough to get my point across.
Connor, you are nowhere near that good. I'm guessing he's overconfident because he's done well with a couple of memorized dialogue trees, but try having a conversation that's more than 2 minutes and I'm sure he would fail. I would love to see if he could even complete a 30-minute italki trial lesson without switching to English. Again, keep in mind that this video was done multiple years before the cookie livestream with the cashier, and if we're judging his skill based on that video, and conversational is a 5 out of 10, then he's a 1, because all he can do is routines.
Let's do it. Let's do Duolingo. Here we go. Write this in Japanese. It's a good start. I like that. O-ha-yo. Oh, it's wrong.
Imagine you go on this big diatribe about how good you are at speaking Japanese, and not only do you misspell the word for good morning, which is one of the first words that you learn, but also it's spelled in Japanese for you right below the answer box.
Oh hi. You know, that's one thing I am very proud of, is that when I did the Japanese test and shit, I did that all on stream. So I mean, that's the thing too, man. I mean, you just put up or shut up. And to be fair, like, again, I'm not defending these guys. I'm not trying to be nice to them, but like, I get this shit wrong too sometimes. Like putting the extra ooh or the extra a or the hi. Like, I mean, this is the thing. Like, I get it. Think before you sleep is trying to really emphasize that these guys don't know even basic Japanese stuff. But like, for a dude like me who's been here for a long time, and like my one of my part-time jobs is being a translator / interpreter. Like, I make mistakes like this all the time too, though. But yeah, even this shit, it's like you should be past it. I don't know. I mean, I should try going on this website and trying it out. What quiz
map?
website is he on?
What is map?
Another beginner word that Connor messes up.
Kanji Study says that this is JLPT N5 word, which is the lowest level of the Japanese language proficiency test. This word is one of the first 200 to 400 words you learn. You need to know thousands to be conversationally fluent. It's particularly bad not knowing how to say map after moving to Japan because it's a common word that you would use when trying to find your way around, especially if you had 1 year of study.
Despite him telling his audience that he essentially is more than halfway to conversational fluency, the characters for map are something that you learn when you study second grade kanji, so it's definitely a very standard word that you would learn very early on. That being said, let's return to this clip.
You're going to Japanese school, I am going to start in
I go once a week for like 1 hour. No, I'm doing 2 hours.
This is basically no effort. You might as well just not study at all. That's why
Yeah.
he sucks in all these clips. You'll never get fluent in Japanese with 1 lesson a week. This is what I'm talking about when I say that so many of these people want the benefits of living in a foreign country without doing any of the work. You need at least 1 hour of study per day to get fluent in Japanese because it's a hard language for English speakers. For something easier like a Spanish speaker learning English, you probably can get away with 30 minutes a day of active study, and the rest is going outside and interacting with the natives. Anyway, let's fast forward a few years.
But the worst part about speaking somewhat Japanese, I'll say, the first parts of the conversation, I sound like I know my shit. I sound like I know everything.
Connor, they can instantly tell that you're not that good because you mispronounce words constantly, just like Chris does.
You'll go to a restaurant in Japan, right? You'll sit down, and there's always the questions they ask you. You sit down in the restaurant, and then she starts talking, like super fast, the waiter, or he starts talking super fast in your ear, right? I'm taken off guard, so I'm not listening. So now I'm like losing, right? And then she'll just be like, and then she'll just say a word like, arugi, and then ka, right? So it's like, I don't even know what you said. You could have been talking for 30 seconds, and all I heard is the word allergy, and then you ended it in a question.
It sounds dumb, but allergy in Japanese is pronounced arerugi.
Arerugi.
Connor is definitely nowhere near being able to watch anime without subtitles. And note that when I bring this stuff up, I'm not expecting them to have a perfect Japanese accent. That's very difficult to do. What I am saying, though, is that after years of living in Japan, they don't even have a good understanding of the basic phonetics of the language. And I mean, also they make beginner mistakes all the time that are very noticeable if you speak the language at just an intermediate level. So imagine what Chris, Connor, and Garnt sound like to natives.
You know, when I did the IRL stream at Maylene's house, on the way over there, the taxi driver spoke to me the entire time. And the first 10 minutes of the conversation were pretty chill. I understood like everything he was asking me. He was just asking me about what I do for work, what kind of foods I like, you know, why am I in Japan? You know, he's telling me about his life and stuff. And then he started asking me stuff about my hobbies. And I started trying to explain some things to him that was really hard for me to explain because my talking isn't as good as my listening. And then he started telling me about his life. And I've just started like finding it so hard to keep track of what he was saying because he was talking for so long. I was trying to change the conversation to get to easier stuff so that I didn't have a harder time following.
Connor, if you're...
Oh, God. This reminds me of like... because I take taxis not super often, but like I like to think of it as fast travel in like IRL. Like, you know, like in Skyrim, you're just like click on the map, and you're like, yeah, fast travel. Yeah, so sometimes I do it like you know, whenever, right? But I remember like one of the most awkward conversations I had was like this taxi driver picked me up, and I forgot why or like where I was going, but he's just like, yeah. Like, it was like something where, like, you don't... Like, I think he was used to just saying shit to foreigners. And so I couldn't tell if he was trolling or not, but he's like, yeah, you know, I have to buy... Like, I like VHS. I'm like, okay. He's like, yeah, but my TV's broken. And I bought that TV, like, 10 years ago. I'm like, uh-huh. Yeah? He's like, yeah, I gotta buy... Why do I gotta buy a new TV? It's just such bullshit. I was like, what is going on here? Did I just, are you on the phone? Like, what's happening? He's like, why do I need to buy a new TV? Even if I want to buy a new TV, it's like $100 and you just get a small TV. And I'm like, yeah, buddy. Like, I'm just like, why are you talking to me about this? Like, what's going on? I was just like, yeah, man. I was like, you could just buy a used TV. I have like a 50-inch screen that I bought for like, $250 because it was used. And he's like, yeah, fuck that. I hate used stuff. And I'm like, okay, well, and I was just like, this is gonna go down as one of the most awkward taxi conversations I've ever had. Like, I feel it's like one of those conversations the guy has before he goes on his killing spree, just telling some random guy. He's like, yeah, so anyway, rolls the pistol, like cocks it. I'm gonna make him pay for making me buy a new TV. I'm like, oh god. Anyway, I'm curious if this guy would even understand like what's going on if he heard something like that,
If you're listening, there is no way that you were that good at Japanese at the time of this video. When I first watched it, I nearly lost my shit laughing when he started off with, yeah, so I don't understand like 90% of what's being said to me at restaurants, and then moved on to, yeah, so I had a pretty good conversation in Japanese with my taxi driver. You've got to be fucking kidding me. Anyone who has actually taken Japanese seriously can tell that these guys are terrible at it. Really, how fluent someone is can be measured by what degree they're able to have spontaneous conversations.
Why did he blur out that person?
Really, anyone who has actually...
Who is that person and why are they blurred out?
...taken Japanese seriously can tell that these guys are terrible at it. Really, how fluent someone is can be measured by what degree they're able to have spontaneous conversations. And Connor starts the video off by admitting that he can't even understand the restaurant script that he has likely heard 200 times by that point. Just to be clear, there are two parts of this conversation. The part where Connor says that things were easy, and that's because he was answering basic self-introduction questions. This is the part that he says that he handles well, and then the instant non-routine questions are asked. He admits that his Japanese level is terrible. So it looks like he's being honest here, he's not trying to mislead people, and he's giving a genuine assessment of his speaking ability. And what I'm saying is that I don't even believe that he made it through the easy 10 minutes of self-introduction without vast misunderstandings, speaking broken Japanese, or switching to English. I have yet to see Connor make it more than a few sentences without speaking English, so there's no way that he made it 10 minutes. And Chris Broad does this sort of thing as well to look like he's being honest, where he'll say, well, I wouldn't say I could communicate in Japanese on the level of a native, but I'm pretty good. So it looks like he's being humble here and saying that he's bad at Japanese. But remember that Chris understands stuff like media literacy, and he knows his audience will think he's fluent in Japanese if he just says like one sentence, which is why he never says more than that, because then people who actually know Japanese would be able to assess his ability and tell everyone that he's bad. So he's trying to look humble in this moment, but what his audience actually hears is, yeah, my Japanese is great. I'm almost as good as a native speaker. Meanwhile, he can't even read children's books.
Yeah.
Both Connor and Garnt do this same misrepresentation as well. Respect to Premier 2, though. At least he doesn't pretend he's good. Speaking of Connor, at the time of this video...
I like Pete, though. Pete's like the only one of those guys who's actually ever like nice to me. I gotta give Pete props. I mean, he might have talked shit behind my back. I don't know. I can't prove it. I don't care. But I met Pete one time in real life, and he was not a dick. So, but I mean, most of these guys are just nice to your face, and then they talk shit behind your back because image or whatever.
Video, he had been living in Japan for 3 years. If he had studied just 1 hour a day, he would likely be close to fluency if he combined that with talking to natives in his local environment.
Yeah, dude.
This is not that hard. You can study on the train or draw kanji on your phone for a few minutes while you're at the bar. Stream 1 less hour a day. It's not like you need the money. Just like Garnt, you're rich. I mean, you guys host a podcast about Japanese culture while you live in Japan. Is it that much to ask that you spend a little time studying? I know that some of these clips are old, but like I said, Connor isn't any better in the new ones. He's been living in Japan for over 6 years, and his Japanese ability is maybe A2, which is pretty easily achievable in about 6 months of studying. Let me be clear, though. I know that Connor talks down about his ability in Japanese a lot, but even in his down-talking, he is still saying he is vastly better than he actually is. I genuinely think he would struggle to hold like a 5-minute conversation in full Japanese. Literally every clip I've seen of him, Japanese people are constantly trying to switch to English, or he is switching to English.
Like, that was actually the most frustrating, is that I had to knock out... Oh, I have a Mito Tech.
Mito Tech?
I'm okay. That's an American joke.
Oh, Andy Warhol?
You know Andy Warhol?
Yes.
This is a...
Oh, and props to props to him for Pete for like actually marrying a Japanese chick and having a kid. He just had a kid recently. But yeah, I mean, like, this is one thing too where, like, I think if you're beginning Japanese, you really need to be stubborn about this, and if people speak to you in English, you have to speak to them in Japanese, because otherwise you're just going to be you're going to be, for the sake of being nice, speaking English. But you got to remember, for your first couple of years of learning Japanese, you really got to lock in. But after you've been here for a long time like me, if somebody speaks English to me, I'll be nice and I'll speak English back, because it's not for validation. It's not for studying anymore at that point, you know? I have plenty of other people that I can speak Japanese to on the regular, that I don't need to, like, have a superficial conversation with somebody in like some restaurant or whatever in order to validate my Japanese level, you know?
Uniqlo.
ドラえもん好きですか？
好きです。Ah, see.
みんな日本人ドラえもん好きね。
Who's this guy?
Giant.
Oh, his name's Giant? His name's like Giant?
He's actually giant.
Okay.
Actually giant.
So, does every Japanese person know Doraemon?
Yes.
Everybody.
Yeah, everyone knows Doraemon. Everyone knows Doraemon.
100%.
Yes.
Your English is good.
Yeah, you're very
Your
good.
English is good.
You tricked us.
Yeah.
You're very good.
裏切り者ね。
Can I make an order?
Yes.
I think he wants to try
coffee beer.
The coffee beer?
Coffee beer.
What did he say? He said uragiri mono, which is wrong. You guys say usotsuke, but you know, this is one of those things that luckily you understand this after like hundreds of hours of just like of immersion. Like, you'll understand, like, I mean, the JLPT like test I always say is bullshit, but like the listening part was really fun though, because it's just like, oh yeah, of course, like, you know, why would you not say that?
Yes.
Your English is good.
Yeah, you're very good.
Your English is good.
You tricked us.
Yeah.
You're very good.
Uragiri mono is a very common anime word. Well, uragiri mono means like you're a traitor, but like that's like more of like I mean, if you're saying it as a joke, that's fine. But you know, like the more fluent way to say it would be like usotsuke, you know, like damasareta yo na, you know, like you tricked me or something. But like uragiri mono is like, you traitor.
Hey, can I make
I'm losing my shit. The whole dialogue is so easy to say in Japanese. How do you have trouble ordering food without speaking English after 10 plus years? In Japan, all this grammar I'm using below is beginner JLPT 1 plus N4, or JLPT 5 plus N4 level. I don't think I have heard kind of use grammar more complicated than the JLPT N5, which is the lowest level.
An order?
Yes.
I think he wants.
注文できますか？このコーヒービールを飲んでみたいと思います。I got like stuff blocking the screen, so I can't.
To try the coffee beer?
コーヒービール一つ。
I'm still working on my yuzu beer.
ユズビールをまだ飲んでいます。
ユズビール。
今はI can't read that. 今は
No. I'm still. まだまだ。すいません。
Pete's doing the typical thing where it's like he's being entertaining gaijin for Japanese people. Yeah, I don't know. Like I bet Pete. Like, I mean, again, like Pete doesn't. I don't know Pete that well. I remember I used to really not like Pete. Like I had like strong not hate, but dislike for him, because I was like, who the fuck is this guy? Like, the only thing he ever did was be an English teacher until he sucked Chris Broad's dick and started being in his videos a bunch, you know? And, but, I don't know. I mean, like, he's got his own community that can stand on its own 2 feet, and he does his own thing, and I can't really hate on that, but at the same time, it's like, for me, being in Japan long term, it's like, it is kind of cringy when I see people that are not speaking Japanese to Japanese people. Again, these guys are in Tokyo, though. Or are they in Tokyo? I think they're in Tokyo. It looks like Tokyo. Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, it's just like, it's one of those things where it's so funny. It's like you can even code switch in Japanese, right? Like, I can go from sounding like a foreigner in Japanese to being like, you know, sounding like more like, you know, so desu ne, watashi wa so da to omoimasu ne, you know, to be like, so da to omon desu kedo, なんか他の言いたいこととかはあんのか? You know, like I can code switch like a real brother in the hood, but I don't know if these guys can. Like, I don't know if Pete can and he chooses not to, or if he just can't. Dad, you glorious man. Intense 7, you are too sexual. You are too fast, too sexual. I have one of Nomadic Gaijin's best mods in my chat right now.
Sorry. It's okay. It's 文化
今
culture.
配信します。
Connor yet again makes a very basic mistake at the end. In Japanese, he said, "We will stream now," instead of "We are streaming now." You can actually tell his grammar level based on this conversation because the more Japanese waves...
I love it. Intense, you're in the middle of this, and, like, this is just this guy ripping all these YouTubers, like, asses apart. You probably already saw this video, but yeah. I've got this video on my watch list for later. Yeah, dude, it's pretty good. He's just ripping into everyone.
This is, "Ima, nama haishin chū desu," which means we're in the middle of a stream right now. The 2 part is on the JLPT N3 list, and the JLPT N3 list is the intermediate grammar. So I don't think he's gotten there because that's one of the easiest and most...
Again, this is one of those things, guys, where, like, I highly recommend... Well, I mean, I don't suggest learning Japanese without learning how to read, but this is one of those things where it's like, if you had thousands of hours of listening Japanese, you would automatically know this without even having to think about why it is, you know? Because your brain automatically learns the tempo of how a conversation goes, even if you don't understand it. It does. And so you understand what's normal, what's not to say, you know?
Commonly used grammar on that list. But the real key detail that Connor is still a complete beginner at Japanese, 5 years into his stay there, is that the easy way of saying this is to use the present progressive tense, which in English is the ing form. So stream is the present tense, streaming is the present progressive tense, which in Japanese would sound like "Ima haishin shitemasu," or "We are streaming now." This is beginner grammar, and yet again, one of the first things that you learn. Trust me, even though it sounds like I'm getting really into the weeds here, I'm not doing justice at all when it comes to how many mistakes Connor makes that indicate that he is a beginner who has not really put any serious work into studying. We're only going over the basics here. I don't want to bore you guys with 8 hours of explanations going over every example I have, but it's suffice to say that I wouldn't be calling out multiple channels with millions of followers each if I wasn't very sure that their Japanese proficiency is not only super low for the amount of time that they have been living in Japan, but also they are all blatantly misrepresenting how good they are. To put it simply, Connor's skill at Japanese reminds me of that Family Guy scene with the Mexican guy.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, that's the whole thing, right? Is that, like, yeah, Connor's editor's wife cracked the shits with me. What does that mean? Because I said Connor's Japanese wasn't that good, she got super defensive. Well, yeah, because, you know, that's her employer, right? Like, she doesn't want to, like, talk shit about her employer.
Me llamo es Brian.
That was pretty good. But actually, when you said me llamo es Brian, you don't need the ace. Just me llamo Brian.
Oh, you speak English?
No, just that first speech and this one explaining it.
You're kidding, right?
¿Qué?
¿Qué?
This is what I mean. The second you go out of some routine that he's memorized, he can't speak. If that's happening to you 5 or 6 years into your stay, it's because you aren't studying. Actually, I'll give one more example so that people who don't understand Japanese can see how laughable it is when you hear stuff like this.
I'd say I'm like fluent conversationally.
So when you hear them talk about how good they are, understand that 2 Japanese people, all of them sound a lot like this.
Now, I am living in my father's company residence with my family.
Oh no.
But we have to leave it soon for his business reasons.
Coffee.
It's actually more pathetic than that because there are far fewer basic sounds for English speakers to memorize when they're trying to learn Japanese versus the other way around. And remember, quite a number of these examples that I used were given to me by Trash Taste fans trying to prove that people such as Connor are definitely good at Japanese. Meanwhile, in that clip with Connor and Premiere 2, neither of them can speak more than a few words without switching to English, and the waitress also is constantly switching to English whenever she can. She's probably doing that because she thinks they're tourists. Like I said earlier, Japanese people don't do that when you're good.
I love speaking English now because I never get an opportunity to. And I think that in the position that I'm in right now...
What it do?
If the other person doesn't speak English natively, then Japanese people don't want to speak English with me because I speak Japanese.
By the way, just for comparison, this guy Nicholas Edwards became conversationally fluent in Japanese enough to work with a Japanese talent agency with just a little bit of time of living in Japan and 4 years of study outside of the country. It's not out of the question to expect these guys to be vastly better at Japanese than they are. They shouldn't be beginners after 6 years, especially considering that their brand is, hey, we're the guys who know about Japan. And like I said, this is not a special case scenario. It's probably the norm for immigrants.
I would say like 50% really don't speak Japanese like at all. Like, I mean, obviously everybody speaks, you know, a couple sentences or whatever, like maybe very basic daily conversation. But in terms of like, oh yeah, you can speak Japanese, I don't know, man, less than 50%. When I first got here, I was like, oh my gosh, like this is just the norm. Like, everybody comes here and they just completely assimilate and they learn the language so well and they become fluent in the language. Wow. I remember having this incredible respect for all the foreigners who live here, because I just assumed, like, I assume that's what you do. You move here and you integrate into the culture and you become fluent in the language, and that's that. I didn't realize how much of a bubble these people were living in, and also how much these people want to suck their own and not just tell me, yeah, dude, I'm not fluent in Japanese, like, at all. I'm not even close. It just sounds like I'm good because you don't know anything.
Absolutely. James released this as I was finishing recording Connor's.
I love that. How well do foreigners in Japan speak Japanese? I mean, you should never brag about how, like, yeah, I'm like here in this place, but I don't know. It's like imagine going to the jungle and being like, yeah, like I live in the jungle, but like I never learned about like any of the dangerous bugs or, you know, how to make a fire or anything. But like I live here, you know, it's like it's manageable. It's like, bro, really? Like, come on, dude.
Section of this video. What a crazy YouTube refresh pool, considering that James is actually good at Japanese, so his opinion matters. I wonder if we're talking about some of the same people. For clarity, I don't know James outside of watching some of his videos and because of that viral event with the engineer. So we haven't talked about this personally, which is why I'm so glad that he is saying this same shit I am, because now I know I'm not crazy for pointing this stuff out on Twitter. And it also suggests that what I'm saying is obvious to people who actually try.
Every single time I get on the train, I get on transportation, I pull out my Anki cards, and I study.
Right?
Yep.
This is how you can tell he knows what he's talking about.
That is beautiful, by the way. If you guys use your smartphone all the time and you're on public transportation, Anki, I don't like using my phone when I'm out in public because it's just, I feel like it's just too much of a distraction bubble. But I do carry around books with me all the time. And so, yeah, I mean, like, for me, it's books, but yeah, if you're, Anki is fine as well. Just don't play on your fucking phone. Like, do some studying, you know?
Because during every bit of downtime, he's pulling out his phone and studying.
It's about respect, and it's about your duty to the country that's allowing you to live here. So, you know, forget if it's hard or whatever. It doesn't really matter. You have to learn Japanese if you're living in Japan.
I think you guys get the point. As for the Trash Taste crew, I'll link all the video examples I have of everyone speaking in the description so that people who speak Japanese can make their own judgments. And just for more clarity, this whole conversation would be very different if you could see these guys actually improving at Japanese over time. For example, if someone comes to America and their English isn't that great, but you can see their English consistently improving, I'm not going to criticize or make fun of that. But if I can look at a video of you from 3 years ago and then look at something more recent, and I'm wondering if you actually got worse at the language, that's where I have a problem. Now, getting back to the immigration part, I'm bringing all this up because people really misunderstand the importance of language proficiency when it comes to political and cultural issues. How can you say you understand someone's culture when you don't speak the language? And how do people like this have the audacity to start telling Japanese natives what to do when they have to say it in English? Going back to abroad in Japan, I've already showed this clip in a prior video, but it was so fucking ridiculous for Chris to say it when he's not fluent in Japanese that I'm going to show it again.
People write off my opinions because I'm not born in Japan, I'm not Japanese. And at what point do I become a local? What point does my opinion matter something?
Yeah,
I saw people react being like, I think it's important we've got the locals' opinions on this. I am inherently a local, and I lived in Meguro for 3 years or so, but at what point do you become a local?
Really, the answer is never.
You can never move beyond being a foreigner.
Chris, you don't really speak Japanese. You don't have a Japanese spouse. You don't have Japanese kids. You aren't a citizen. You don't have anywhere near the investment in the country of an actual Japanese native. So why should people give you the respect and the status of someone who has all those things? If Chris called himself a local in America and didn't learn English after 13 years, I would just laugh and tell him to get the hell out of my country. I don't care if Chris says he's lived in Japan for a while. He hasn't paid his dues, not even on a basic level. And what I mean by that is that if you can't speak Japanese, then let me say it this way. Garn can barely speak at all. Connor's conversational ability in Japanese is maybe at the level of a 4-year-old, and Chris is at the level of maybe a 7-year-old. If you start having adult-level conversations with these people, they won't understand shit, and I'm not just making this up. Chris confirms that he can't have conversations with adult native speakers in this video here.
He's like, Chris-san, how many years have you lived in Japan? And I was like, shit, I can't lie to Ken Watanabe. Oh, but then if I say 10 years, maybe he'll assume I'm very good, and all of our interview will be in Japanese.
Oh no, how terrible would it be to speak to a Japanese person in Japanese while you're in Japan?
Dude, I would love to speak Japanese to fucking Ken Watanabe. He is so cool. I love The Last Samurai, dude. Oh, best movie ever.
You can't have that going on in like any of your videos.
Fast forward to the next evening, and we've just wrapped our first day of shooting. It's gone pretty well. And for the most part, Ken and I speak in English, but when he's answering heavy-hitting interview questions, he does gravitate towards Japanese, so he can express himself fully. But we're sitting at a restaurant and having a dinner with all the movers and shakers of Kesanuma town, and one of the main people I got speaking to was the owner of the local sake brewery, a really nice guy called Sugawara-san. But Sugawara-san spoke good English, and he came over, and after a minute or so, he was inevitably like, "Oh, so, Chris-san, how many years have you been living here in Japan?" But before I could deliver my answer, from the other side of the room, I heard the deep, booming, terrifying voice of Ken Watanabe say, 10年間住んでました。大丈夫. 10 years. He's lived here 10 years. It's okay. You can speak Japanese. And I look over and he gives me a knowing look. A look that I'd seen in The Last Samurai when he chopped off that guy's head.
This guy's like, but when am I a local? Come on, bro. I'm inherently a local.
I love that. I love, like, see, when you got the receipts like that, it's so good. It's so good. I mean, like, well, Chris banks his whole existence on YouTube being paid by retards who don't care if he's lying, you know? That's the whole thing. He's like, well, these retards didn't see this other video because I've got so many videos because I'm British. So it doesn't matter if I say that I know Japan or Japanese that well, because nobody's going, oh shit, that guy just pointed it out. Oh fuck, I hope the retards that are paying me don't watch this guy's video. It's okay. They're the same retards who watch Hassan Piker. And those guys will listen to anything that guy says, even about a million times when he's pointed out that, you know, the hypocrisy of what he said has been pointed out. They still pay him. So I mean, like, Chris doesn't give a shit. He's gonna be like, well, thank you, retards, for giving me money and just believing me outright. And just I don't know, like, Chris to me is like the worst representation of like a YouTuber, because it's not that like, oh, he's a disingenuous YouTuber, because it is, but the fact that he understands the game and that he still chooses to be a slimy piece of shit. That's what makes me angry, because the thing is that, like, he's not a slimy piece of shit probably all the time, but when you complain about how your videos are not getting any views, and then you get angry, and then it's the last quarter of the year and you need a big fucking video to go viral so that you can promote your next fucking project, and you want some of that end of the year super high ad revenue, then what's the best thing to do? Why don't you pick on some woman who, I mean, like, the thing is, it's just like, look, like, this is gonna sound mean, and like, I'm saying this as Oriental Pearl's friend, I've said this in other videos before, but she's not the most attractive person in the face department, and I'm saying that from a YouTube viewer point of view, right? And so if somebody sees that he's making fun of her in that video, and they're like, oh yeah, he's making fun of the ugly chick. And well, I mean, to be fair, Chris's wife is fat and ugly too, so at least Pearl's got her on that. But I'm just saying, from like an internet, like, the internet is full of simps and gooners, right? And so if Chris is like, look at this chick who's not super fucking attractive, I'm gonna make fun of her now, then all of his viewers are gonna jump on it, because they're like, oh yeah, like, I mean, like, I had the same thing happen with my sushi video, right? Like, I'm this fat weeb looking guy that looks like he's easy to hate, and I release a video right after the Logan Paul shit happens, and I get fucking crucified for it. Meanwhile, that video gets released again on Twitter like a month ago, and all the reactions are positive. Like, everybody loves it. So it's always about timing for these things when it comes to like shit like that. But for Chris to be like, yeah, like, it's obvious that he understood YouTube well enough to put out a drama video, and he knew his viewers, being stupid idiots online, well enough that they would just jump on the hate train for Pearl just because of the way she looks and just because of the video titles, versus anything that actually provides substance for her channel. And Chris is such a slimy, evil douchebag that he knew this, and that's why I don't like him, is because it's like, he's the worst kind of slimy douchebag because he's smart about it, you know? 90% of chance of Chris's shocks Charlotte's cats. Yeah, Chris is friends with Hassan Piker, so he's shocking Charlotte's cats. Yeah, Chris's Japanese peaked when he was still doing Jet because he had the time to study. Well, I mean, I remember, like, when I was still in America, I was going to pay like my cable bill or something, and I saw this Mexican lady, and she was there at the place with her son, right? And her son was like 7 years old or maybe 10, I don't know. And like the kid obviously was born and grew up in the US. And I remember just asking him, I was like, hey, little guy, like, does your mom work? Because she couldn't speak any English. She was having her 10-year-old translate for her. And I was just, I don't remember how exactly I asked him, but I was like, so does your mom, I was like, your mom must be really busy working all the time, right? He's like, no, she stays at home. And I'm like, that bitch has been staying home for 10 years and she never bothered to learn English? Like, what a fucking parasite, you know?
British.
Like, I understand if you've been in, like, the country for a long time and you're working so many hard hours just to support your family. But if you're just sponging off welfare and watching Spanish soap operas and just getting fat, like, come on, dude. What are you doing, you know? Hey, Chris, if you're still in this stream, you're a piece of shit liar. Yeah, Pete is a beautiful woman. We love Pete. Well, you know, I'm just saying I understand the internet, you know, and they're gooner retards. You know, half the internet is based, half of it's full of, like, people who love Hassan Piker, you know?
Meanwhile, 3 years ago, he tells a story about how local Japanese people were pissed off that he had been living there for 10 years and could not carry a conversation with other adults without speaking English.
Oh, yeah. I must say this, too. When I was doing an interpreting job, one of the Japanese women I was working with, she's like, are you on YouTube? I'm like, yeah, I do YouTube. Or I forgot why we were talking about YouTube. I said I do YouTube. Like, that's one of the, like, my hobbies or whatever. And she's like, oh, you know Chris Abroad? And I'm like, I know who Chris Abroad is. How do you know? And she's like, oh, well, I'm a tour guide as well. And my tour customers always talk about him. And she's like, I hate that guy. And I'm like, wait, why? Why do you? I have my reasons. Why don't you like him? And she's like, well, I'm from Fukushima. And he did, like, a really bad representation of Fukushima for a documentary. I don't even remember what he said or did in that documentary, but I was surprised that a Japanese well, I wasn't surprised because she has a job where she's constantly talking to tourists, but I was surprised, like, what her reason was for not liking him. But, like, even random locals getting angry at him for that stuff, I mean, I don't know, you know?
Also, if you think his Japanese is any better than it was 3 years ago, just because he said he was going to start studying again that one time, then allow me to point out that he's made numerous videos saying that he's going to lose weight, and he hasn't lost the weight.
I think the moral is don't give up learning Japanese like I did. Honestly, that might be one of the few regrets I've had in all my time.
Yeah, British. What's up, Triple Bacon, you sexy black man, you. What is it? 0 subscriber growth since November 2025 for Chris. People are done with him. Yeah, well, I mean, like, if you're not growing, you're dying, right? And, like, every month I lose about 50 to 100 subscribers just because people don't like the content or they're just kind of tired of it, right? But it's okay because I'd rather keep making this content and have new people show up than keep the old people there and make, like, whatever content they want, you know? But Chris is like, well, Chris owns, I didn't know until Think Before You Sleep made his previous video. But apparently Chris owns, like, I was like, yeah, Chris owns a bar. But, like, I guess him and his wife own multiple Airbnbs. And also, he owns, like, a tourism company for, like, a SIM card or something. And so, like, Chris is doing well money-wise. Like, he's definitely a millionaire, you know? Dad, I told you so, a piece of shit. Chris was lying about Fukushima. Yeah, but I don't remember what specifically you said he was.
I'm living here. I should have carried on. Even if it was in some small way, I should have carried on my studies.
Now, it's hard to know what the actual story is, but if I were to guess, Mr. I Love Studying...
Probably my favorite thing about living in Japan, full stop, is studying the language.
You know what's funny is that, like, I already got done studying Japanese, like, for my portion or whatever that I need to do. So right now I'm studying, like, motorcycles and motorcycle maintenance. And, like, I have a whole notebook, like, that I've already written down the history of motorcycles and then the anatomy of a motorcycle and, like, what all the parts do. And that's what I've been doing this week. I've been learning about motorcycles. And I have a whole notebook dedicated to it. It's pretty fun.
Based on this video, we know that Mr. I Love Studying hasn't studied in, like, 9 or 10 years, which is basically since he first moved and really is something that people who are good don't do.
Always wanting to improve is probably the most important
yeah, that is
factor
really important
in improving.
Exactly. Oh, it's my hot gay son, Matt. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I mean, like, that's the whole thing, dude. Like, I've been in Japan almost 20 years now at this point, and there were times where I was just like, fuck it, I'm not going to study Japanese. Suck my donk. Oh, come on, babe. Stop trying to, Stop trying to, slunk at my dunk while I'm trying to slamp. Pink at my dunk while I'm trying to slamp. Yeah, I mean, like, you need to constantly be finding a reason to learn Japanese, or at least study Japanese regularly. And like for me, like right now, it's just reading and copying Wikipedia articles, you know? Like I did one for Beverly Hills 90210 the other day, and then I did one for what was it like pneumonia or something, like just random different topics of shit that I wanted to learn about, you know? So it's been really fun. The people, the language, the culture, 17 years. Multi-millionaire easy. Charlotte did the Airbnbs with a friend from the stationery business. Cool. What about everything? Yeah. Now he's
right.
Gay
If your
Matt.
intent is to live in a foreign country long term or permanently, then you should be continuously improving your skills.
Yeah.
At the very least, if you're a foreigner and you aren't C1, you should be studying almost daily. Keep in mind that none of the foreign-born Japanese residents that I'm criticizing are literate in Japanese, so they can't read. Now, to again put things in perspective, remember all those people who are making fun of Kai Cenat and saying that he can't read?
How do I pronounce that?
You know, big ups to him, man. I don't really know this, like, the whole thing about this streamer, except that he's really popular. But, like, the fact that, like, you're willing to show humility and, like, show that, like, you suck at something and you're actively trying to get better, and then people want to talk shit about, like, talk down to you about that, like, those are, like, the worst people ever. Because it's just, like, those people are like, I suck and you need to suck too, so I feel better about myself. And, big ups to him, man. You know, it takes a lot of, again, like, it's humility. That's the thing that Chris doesn't have. When people pointed out that Chris lied in that video about Pearl, he didn't show any humility. He didn't show that he was sorry. He just made a quick little fucking, like, little note at the bottom of a big paragraph of shit. And, yeah, you know, it's just slimy. Now he is Gay Man. I'm suffering from secondhand embarrassment.
Spontaneity. The condition of being spontaneous. Spontaneity. Hardly such questions set up a false what does that mean?
It's funny because watching this is exactly what it looks like to learn how to read in Japanese.
Exactly.
But the point is that Kai simply having the opportunity to struggle with words like spontaneity and false dichotomy means that his reading ability in English is years ahead of the Japanese reading ability of every person that I've criticized in this video.
Yep.
Kai is only looking up difficult words. Connor probably has to look up every word when he reads. So when I say this is all a metaphor, understand that when people come to America and refuse to learn English, this is what it's like. And no one is calling Ken Watanabe a racist for being upset about Chris's Japanese level. Anyway, the reason all this matters is because you heard them say it, Chris and Connor both think they're locals. They've lived in Japan for a significant portion of their adult lives, so they believe that their opinion should be taken seriously. Do you not see the similarities with some of the foreigners who are leeching off America? So actually, I don't think this is just a feature of third world immigration. This is a feature of all immigration. All immigration that comes without conditions. First, they import the liberal white women to start calling everyone racist, and then eventually Japanese natives start calling other Japanese natives racist for saying that Japanese people should be first, and then the third world hordes come, which is why those of us in the West need to up our standards, one of them being fluency in the language to get long-term residency. And just to finish off this section about language proficiency, here's why that's important when it comes to things like politics and society. Do you think the average foreigner can understand that the Patriot Act had nothing to do with patriotism? It's a law that allows illegal spying, and they trick people with that name. Politicians do shit like this all the time. The fact that you can get voting rights in America after 5 years of residency is a real travesty.
Yeah.
5 years of English study is not enough time to understand all the language tricks that politicians regularly use. It should be 10 years. Really, we should be making it as difficult as possible to survive in this country if you don't speak our language.
Yep.
America is not a charity. Let me be clear. I do not care about your sob story. I don't care about your hopes and dreams. Either provide value, learn English, and respect American culture, or get out. When it comes to people who aren't getting with the program,
wrong.
I really have very little sympathy because ultimately, if people want to do things, they will.
If you want to speak a language, you will. If you just wish you spoke a language, then you're not gonna speak a language.
Yeah, it's do or do not. There is no try, right? I mean, like, that's one of the things, too. Like, I mean, like, one thing I realized, because I usually study Japanese, like, recently, like, aside from doing immersion, is, like, you know, I'll write, you know? Like, I read and stuff, obviously, but you know, like writing has really helped me too, because like when I read, I write as well, right? And but like the thing is that I can get my quota of studying done fairly quickly if I dedicate like a week or two to it. And so then I have all these extra weeks to do. I mean, I'm still doing daily study, but not as intense as those first 2 weeks. And so I still have like 6 remaining weeks pretty much to do light Japanese study while I'm focusing on something else. And like one thing I've been learning is like motorcycle maintenance, like learning about motorcycles and like everything, like, you know, like just everything, like basically like I'm going through like a Wikipedia like long article of motorcycle knowledge and just learning this as I go, because it's like I have a basic knowledge of motorcycles, but it's like I really want to understand how everything works and just look at, you know, like take out apart all the parts and just lay them down on a tarp and look at them, right? And so like this whole week I've been dedicated to like every night, like when I come home from work or like when I'm at home and like it's nighttime, I'm just I just spend like, you know, 4 to 5 hours learning about this stuff. And I'm only doing it for a week, but I'm already learning so much. Like, because if you think about it, that's like 20 to 25 hours a week. Like, you think about anybody who's trying to learn anything about a subject, and it's like, you don't know shit about this. I'm like, well, I spent like 25 full hours learning this. What about you? Well, you know, how long have you spent trying to learn about this stuff? So, but I mean, the thing is that, like, I was like, I'm tired of not knowing about why my motorcycle fails sometimes. Like, I want to learn more about this because, you know, fear comes from ignorance. And but the same thing about Japanese language learning is that, you know, like, you simply just got to do it. And a lot of people, like, I don't know if their hesitancy is that they don't want to suck and they're used to being like so good at everything, they don't want to try something new, or they're going to fumble a lot and they don't have the humility to show it, or they're simply just like very against learning a language. I don't know, because like for me, like 2 weeks ago, like this week is motorcycle learning, but like 2 weeks ago it was learning foreign songs. So like there were 4 songs, maybe five songs in different languages that I wanted to learn, that I had listened to a bunch, but I wanted to actually learn how to read. So I had like Korean, Mandarin, Cantonese, Thai, and French. Like there were all these different songs, and I was like, shit, I want to learn how to read this in the actual alphabet too, though. And like that took a lot of time, and like I didn't have enough time to actually finish more than one song. But the cool thing is just like I learned so much more about that like language, like you know, and how that song works. And so it's like if you just, but I was like, this is important to me enough to put in the time for at least a week's worth of weeknights to learn about this stuff. And I was like, shit, I can do that for like any subject now. And I mean, that's the whole thing. It's like it was worth my time to like actually invest. So I don't know why these guys don't bother to do it. Maybe they just don't have a study method that they have a faith in, or maybe they don't want to look like they suck. I don't know, but yeah, we'll see. Coffee agrees with you. Coffee is great. My level of Japanese is barely survived. I bet I sound like, yeah, but you're married to. Oh wait, no, that's not Kurz. That's or that's not intense. That's Kurz. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, like it's all just like, you know, put in the time, dude. People are just averse to effort, probably. Danish citizenship is also very hard to get, hard to gain. Western man character syndrome is real in Asia. It's funny. My friend lives in Denmark.
Language.
Right. If you want to do it, you'll put in the effort and you'll figure it out.
Yeah, right.
And what I'm getting at here is that if someone has been living in your country for 10 plus years and they barely know the language, they basically haven't studied at all.
Yeah.
Unlike the Trash Taste Social Group, the people who have actually been integrating into Japanese society for over a decade don't have a problem speaking Japanese. They have a problem speaking English.
You know, I would love to do a reaction video with like one of my Japanese friends, like have them here. Like my buddy Tetsu, he understands English. I would love to have him here while we react to this stuff, and then we could speak in Japanese about the subject. I'm going to write that down. That's interesting. Oh, yeah, this is Chris. This is the guy I was talking about, who was talking about, like, kind of liberal stuff, and, you know, like, Japanese trolls just jumping on him, you know, and he's a Japanese citizen, but it's just, you got to remember your place in society, even if you're a citizen here. Like, you got to remember that it's their society first, and no matter if you are legally Japanese, whenever they get the chance and whenever you speak out of turn, they're going to bring up the, well, you're not really Japanese thing, and you got to remember not to react to that, because that's what they want.
って全力でやりたい気持ちもあるから、とりあえず様子見て流れで行こうかなと思う。The English part is actually the hardest one for me. Not spoken this long in English in a long time. It is. I'm struggling to find the right word.
I mean, again, like that's one of those things where when you immerse yourself in Japanese for a long time, that does happen, where you're like, oh man, I haven't spoken English in a long time, and like for me, now that the internet's there, like I get exposed to English every day, even though I live in a foreign country, right? Oh, this dude, he's a musician, right? Yeah, his name is Chris something, and he was in the tabloids recently because he was married to a Japanese chick, and I think they had a kid or two, and then she went crazy, and he divorced her, and then he married a second chick, and I think he had like 2 or 3 kids with her, and she went crazy, and then he divorced her, and like, I mean, like, when I say crazy, I mean, like, she tried to push him down the stairs while he was holding their baby, so it's like, part of me's like, well, you attract crazy women, but also, do you make women crazy? Like, so this guy, the tabloids picked up on that, and like, he sued them or something, and then he moved to Hokkaido to get away from like all the paparazzi and stuff. But yeah, so he's a single father with like 5 kids right now. Like the moms want nothing to do with. Oh, actually, the second mom kidnapped one of the kids, so she's got one of the kids. He's got the other 4, and the mom was quoted as saying that the kids were like too full, like they were just too energetic. They were super ADHD, and there was like not a lot of discipline going on in the house, and she couldn't take it. And like I don't know, I'm guessing if this guy is like some other foreign dads that I've seen. Like I have a friend that lives in Ikebukuro who has 3 boys, and I only went over to his house one time, and they just jumped around all the place. Like they did not listen to him. They were just throwing shit. And there was no discipline in the house. And he's like, well, fuck it. They're boys. They're going to get the energy out, even if I tell them not to. Like, I'm tired from work. I don't care. I'm wondering if this guy had, like, a similar experience with his kids. But, yeah, And what the fuck? Is he cursed? I don't know. You make the panas crazy. Yeah, shit. I saw him on stream not that long ago in Shibuya. Yeah.
Words and not, like, shout out something in Japanese.
But, yeah, like, if you're in the countryside, I could believe that you haven't used English in a while, but if you're in Japan and you haven't used English in a while, like you actively went out of your way to not use English, and that's not a bad thing, but I'm just saying like that's not normal, but you should. I mean, if you're trying to learn Japanese, you should do that.
That makes sense to me.
That was Chris Hart. Coincidentally, he's another American-born Japanese pop singer who's also incredibly good at the language. 12 ways Japan changed us? Well, clearly it didn't change you into someone who can speak good Japanese.
Well, I think we need to challenge ourselves. I'll do a video with Natsuki soon called I tried speaking Japanese for a whole day. We should do something like that. Wacky weekend entirely in Japanese.
Let's do it.
Just
and then we could laugh at each other.
Just sitting in silence.
Sure. We should
occasionally just go, Sugoi.
I'm down.
Difficult.
I'm down to do a full day in Japanese.
That would be quite interesting.
Right, so now someone suddenly wants to prove he can speak Japanese. Looks like he's been reading my tweets. I like how Chris's challenge is to prove he can speak.
Yeah, I love it how Chris and all these guys, they'll come into literally anybody else's comment section and they'll defend themselves. But like as soon as they come to this guy, think before you sleep, and he's given a hard stance of like, fuck you, you're retarded, and here's the receipts, right? Like Chris will not interact with him because he knows that he's going to lose in a debate. But Chris will secretly watch these videos and be like, that son of a bitch, I'll show him. I'll show all, it's chowder. I'll kill you. I'll kill all of you, especially those of you on the jury. What? It's funny.
Japanese. Looks like he's been reading.
It's over. In this video, Abroad Japan flat out admits that he's been living in Japan for 10 years and does not speak Japanese. So after defaming a friend of mine, Oriel Pearl, and talking about how he is in so tune of his Japanese because he is a local the whole time.
In my tweets. I like how Chris's challenge is to live in Japan outside of a foreigner bubble for a single day. I mean, you don't do that normally. What?
Oh my god. Oh, this guy just keeps stop. He's already dead.
It would just be
Goddamn,
difficult.
dude.
But yeah,
It's
that'll
so
be great.
good.
I'm sure it'll be heavily edited, and their conversations primarily will be ordering food and other topics that don't require high language proficiency.
Yeah.
Now, just to address this, because I'm constantly asked questions about learning Japanese in the comments, so for those of you who want to learn something that takes a decent amount of time, understand that there are a few things that are required for you to succeed.
Rich white
Also,
guy
I'll try to say
entitlement,
this in
yeah.
a way that applies to skills in general, so people who aren't learning Japanese can take this information outside
Saturday
of
Night
language
Kids
learning.
misbehave, the belt
First,
comes
you need
out,
to be the
that's
type
right.
of person who is willing to jump in and just tackle the workload. It's going to be a lot, just deal with it. Once you've jumped in, the next thing to do is develop a plan and upgrade your plan as you go along your journey and get better information. One of the ways I can tell that Connor and Garnt are beginners is because they don't really have a strong game plan for how they're going to improve. They just say, I'm going to study, I'll go to a class or something, without really understanding what that means.
Yeah.
Speaking of honorable mentions, and another example of what I'm talking about, here's another YouTuber expat in Japan who is friendly with the Trash Taste social circle named Emi Richu, who is certainly a beginner at Japanese.
Because you've been in Japan now if I've been here for like 5 years now.
I've
You've
been here
for
3 years.
3 years.
Yeah.
How has it been?
It's been good.
Are you missing the U.S.?
No.
Emily? No?
Especially not now.
Are you still studying?
I've plateaued, but I want to get back into it. One of my New Year's resolutions was to up my Nihongo.
Because you had like a weekly like.
I mean, like, the sad thing is that it's not just like rich YouTubers. There's a lot of people too that just work normal like English teacher jobs or whatever, and they just never bother to learn Japanese. And it's just like, the funny thing is, it's like, it's not that hard to learn Japanese. It really isn't. If you can play Skyrim, you can study Japanese. It's really not that complicated. Like, if you can understand a game where you can like make your own armor by going into a cave with a pickaxe and getting like ore and then smelting it and then like, you know, putting it together by upgrading your skill tree, then you can learn, like, you know, that's not that complicated, but you got to figure it out. If you can do that, you can learn Japanese. Like, it's just bit by bit by bit. But these people, they come here, they make friends of other foreigners immediately that don't learn the language either, and then they just get stuck in their like negative habit loop bubble, and it's just so bad, dude. Yeah, Gaijin YouTube is so disappointing. They should set an example for all of us. Yeah, rich white guy entitlement. When I hear an American say they're happy they're not in the U.S. right now, not right now, I immediately think that they're a lefty libtard. Yeah, I mean, like, all these people that, again, like, I love it how all these people are, they talk shit about Japanese conservative government. Meanwhile, they benefit from the society that the Japanese conservative government has made, you know? And then they want to come to Japan, and well, maybe, I don't know, I haven't heard her, this woman, I don't even know who this person is, I'm seeing her for the first time, but if she's preaching about change or whatever in Japan, like, there's this stupid chick who's hot, by the way, I want to bang her, called Pink Mikon or something on Instagram. I follow her. She's this like Swedish chick who's not ethnically Swedish, she's like Kurdish or something. Like Swedish, but she was, I don't know her backstory, but she's from Sweden or has Swedish citizenship. But she does like these cute picture things. Like, she's cute, man. Like, she's definitely like bangable for sure. Mikon Mander, that's her, yeah. And but she's always pushing this stupid leftist bullshit in her story. She's never gonna put it on her actual Instagram post because she knows she might lose somebody, but she'll put it in her stories because not everybody checks the stories ever. But she's like, you know, I believe in feminist rights, Black Lives Matter, like, you know, immigrants' lives matter. We should let all the illegal immigrants just come in unvetted and just not check any of them. And it's like, that woman is in such a bubble that like she's like all this stuff that she's saying is so great about like her country. I'm like, why are you not in Sweden then? You know, like, why did you come to Japan? Oh, I like the kawaii culture, and I like, yeah, you probably like going home at night having to not look over your shoulder, right? Like, you know, it's like all these people are such hypocrites. That's why it's like I said earlier in the video, it would be so nice if I could just snap my fingers. I'm like, everyone who has a opinion like this, just send them to South Africa. Send every liberal who's wanted to make some communist bullshit, unrealistic changes to the government, just send them all there. You know, let them fend for themselves, you know. get attacked by Captain Zulu kind of shit. Japan, yeah, what is it? Japan is wonderful. If only they could make it more like LA. Yeah, opinion dismissed, yep. Kurdish refugee from Sweden who grew up in the UK, yeah.
Lesson thing,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
We had private lessons.
So what was it like getting like private lessons? I'm kind of curious.
Oh yeah, and like full disclosure, because I don't think anyone new is watching this, but if you are new and you're watching my channel for the first time, so like I'm a part-time translator and English teacher, right? And so I teach people privately, and I do private contracts for translation and interpreting, right? That's my main bread and butter for how I make money in Japan. Now, when I teach people privately, I make it very clear from the very beginning that I'm not just like, consider me more of like a coach than an English teacher. Like, I'm teaching you English, but if I'm only teaching you for an hour a week, the rest is entirely up to you. And I'll tell you what you need to do, but if you don't do that, you're not going to get better. So I don't mind taking your money and hanging out with you once a week if you want, but you're not going to improve unless you do the homework, unless you put in the time when you're at home. And I'm always 100% transparent with people when they're starting my lessons like that, because I don't want somebody to be 6 months in and be like, yeah, I don't see an improvement. I'm like, well, you've put in a total of 25 hours over the last 6 months. Like, you need to put in more, dude. Obviously, it's like, time plus energy equals progress, right? The more time, the more energy you put into it, the more progress you'll get in a shorter amount of time. But you can't do that if you're just expecting to learn from one lesson a week. I am South African. They won't survive a month here. Yeah, that's right. She's encouraged someone asked the rights of indigenous people in North Iraq, and her people did them to kill it, robbing the people and shit. Yeah,
It
fuck.
helped the most at the beginning, but then it kind of slowly turned into you're just reviewing the same kanji each week.
Maybe if you actually studied, you wouldn't have to keep reviewing the same kanji every week. If you're
this is the thing I hate too, and I know I keep pausing this, but fuck you, I do what I want. Anyway, point is, it's just like all these people, man, like they just want to pass the buck, man. Like they're like, well, I want to do it, but my teacher's boring. I want to go to the gym, but they have rules about not showing tattoos. It's like, it's either you make this important for you and you figure out a way to do it, or you don't. Like, don't pass the buck, man. Like I had a issue of a motorcycle repair guy recently because, I was like, my motorcycle died and it's an electrical issue, and I need your help. And the guy was like, yeah, we're busy. But then my friend went to there for his other motorcycle issue, and a person came in and they took their appointment, they let them reserve an appointment. And so the mechanic was basically saying, we don't want to deal with your stuff because we're lazy. We want easy to fix problems. Yours sounds like it's going to take a while, and we just don't want to dedicate that much time to repairs. But sometimes people he wouldn't admit that to me because, for whatever reason, right? But same thing with these people. They're like, well, excuse for not learning Japanese. And it's just like, dude, you got to just pick something. I don't care if it's Duolingo or italki or whatever, but do it every day for a whole year. I guarantee you're going to get better, because the more you do something and you see it repetitive, you'll think of ways to challenge yourself to make it better and make your progress better. You'll actually be invested in it. But these people don't give a shit, bold of you to assume she has historical knowledge. That's right, yeah.
If you're plateauing, it's because you aren't doing the homework. Emi Richu had been living in Japan for very close to 4 years at the time of that podcast, which is enough time to get pretty good without an egregious amount of studying. But I love how all these people just tell on themselves because they aren't good enough at Japanese to know that they're telling on themselves. Lessons once a week will never make you fluent in a language, especially if you have no practice of self-study. Language is mostly self-studying, so if you suck at that, you're definitely a beginner.
Yeah.
Someone who doesn't have that practice locked in at 4 years is someone who is not really trying. Anyway, so the first thing that you need to do is just get started. Second is to develop a game plan and develop a stronger game plan as time goes on. And don't worry, because I've done a lot of that for you. On screen is a list of materials.
I have a question regarding learning Japanese, studying in the app, Renshu. If you paid course for a year, it's because the apps suck because they're actually... Anyway, you guys can screen capture this as you want, but, yeah, anyway, since writing this tweet, I was recommending an excellent app called Yomi Yoma for reading. Basically gives you short articles and graded. The app is phenomenal. I'm sure to regularly check the market for it. Anyway, yeah, Yeah, this is good stuff, you know? Yeah, he's right. He's on point for
materials
this.
that you can use.
I mean, basically, you got to cover everything. You got to cover vocabulary, how to use the vocabulary, and then how to speak and listen, you know?
Is to get pretty good. Part 3.
Like, I just suggest AJAT, all Japanese all the time. If you look up all Japanese, all the TI.me, there's the website back up there. Just go to the table of contents.
For every skill, and if you understand this, it will significantly increase how fast you can learn things. There are 2 types of learning that are important for a language. Well, technically 3, but you can't really do the third one until you've been studying for a while. These 2 types are active learning and comprehensible input. Active learning is like studying flashcards, drawing kanji, or learning grammar. Honestly, it's the crappy, boring part of learning. It's where you call...
There's 3 types of learning, in my opinion: visual, audio, and kinetic. Audio, you want to get as much input as possible, like a baby would. Yeah, and then visual, I mean, like just watching Japanese people speak, their mannerisms, their body language, seeing like kanji constantly, seeing the language constantly, even if you don't know what it is. That's why watching Japanese TV shows is so good, because they always have subtitles on them. Like whenever I watch an English movie with my students, I always put English subtitles on. So even if they can't read it, they're getting exposed to the words over and over again, right? But also kinetic. I think people can remember stuff a lot better when they write it with their hand and a pen and paper versus if they type it in a keyboard. So that's why the flashcards are so important to do while writing it down. Just, you can review, but try to write down as much as possible, you know?
Upon the wisdom of your ancestors and blatantly memorize everything about the skill that was already discovered by other people. Comprehensible input is when you take that wisdom and apply it to things that you see or hear in your environment. The better you are at the language, the more fun this part is. Now, this idea of comprehensible input doesn't plug perfectly into every skill, but what it means in terms of languages is that you try to listen to and read things that are at your skill level. So if you're a beginner, then you're going to be reading children's books and watching comprehensible input YouTube videos that are made for beginners, which is basically like watching Blue's Clues.
Nah, you shouldn't do that. That's retarded. I mean, the whole thing is just, like, for me, like, I read manga, you know? Like, I read manga, I played video games that I knew, and, like, you know, this is, like, assuming that you really want to engage with the language, and, you can do this, but I recommend just doing the flashcards easier. Just do, like, when you're first learning Japanese, you're going to be so, like, you won't be able to read. Like, if you can hold your focus by reading a stupid kid's book, that's great, but for me, I'd rather just try to read manga and try to understand what's going on. I mean, like, I started reading Gantz, which is a book for teenagers, or a comic book for teenagers, when I first started learning Japanese. I didn't understand anything, but I still exposed myself to a higher level of Japanese. And, like, eventually, by doing that and then doing constant flashcards, because when you're beginning, you can't read anything anyway, you know? So, like, if you're reading kids' books, you're going at the pace of a kid, which is really slow. So, like, if you're doing flashcards, like AJAT recommends, you're exposing yourself to the language in very short bursts that are easy to digest, and the more you learn them, the more it's going to be easy to understand the higher level stuff. And you got to remember, don't go into anything assuming that you're going to understand 100%. The best part about learning a language is that you don't know everything. Like, I still play games like Skyrim and shit where I'm like, what is that? What does that mean? I don't use that word ever. And, like, but when I first, like, you know, even one of my friends, one of my best friends in Japan, he's another American guy, works for, like, a medical supply company in Japan. He knows way more fluent Japanese than I do. And he still plays his games in English because he's like, I don't want to miss out on something. And I was like, it doesn't matter. If it's a game you like, you're going to play it a lot anyway, right? And so, I don't know. I disagree with this point. I mean, if you like the beginner stuff too, that's fine, but that's too much of a crutch. You want to do just straight up flashcards and just reading whatever you like, even if you don't understand all of it, because you got to build up that vocab anyway. Sam knows his stuff, guys. Check out his Patreon. Yeah, I mean, my Patreon is basically regurgitated AJAT stuff in my video format, but if you like the way I talk, then you'll probably like that too. Muscle memory is underrated, especially for kanji. Yeah, I mean, like, that's the thing. You learn kanji by writing it out loud, or writing it, you know, on paper, versus just reading it. That's the thing that a lot of people that try to, like, say they're good at Japanese. I mean, I think Before You Sleep. I don't know what he looks like. I don't know who he is, but I I don't know. It's a big pet peeve of mine when you haven't put out a single video of you using Japanese and you're criticizing other people's Japanese. And like my Japanese is not that good. It should be a whole lot better. But I don't really give a shit what people say because I'm trying, you know? Like that's the big thing. Like I'm trying, I'm putting in the work. If any of you guys are part of my Twitch stream on the regular, you know that I study Japanese a shit ton at night. So but yeah, I mean, like, you got to put up or shut up. Even if you're halfway through and you're not that good, like, you got to make some kind of video. I don't care. Like, this guy wants to hide his face, and that's fine. But, like, you do a VR chat with somebody or whatever, too. Because the moment you say, my Japanese is better than yours, like, you got to, where's the video of you speaking Japanese? I've got a whole playlist of me speaking Japanese on YouTube. So people, if they ever want to judge my level, they can go see it. But, yeah, you got to put up or shut up when it comes to this stuff. It's kind of sus that we have no idea the dude practices what he preaches. Played VR chat today. It was great. Yeah, dude. It was awesome.
So you get better at Japanese and can do things that are more fun. So it might not directly translate to other skills. However, the concept itself does translate overall. And what it means is that if you want to progress at something quickly, then ideally, you try to keep the challenges that you impose upon yourself at or around your skill level. Outside of that, keep your active learning under an hour per day, and comprehensible input can be as short as 15 minutes or it can be as long as like 8 hours. The third type of learning is going to be your output, which for languages, that can be speaking practice or it could be shit posting on Twitter in Japanese, which is a personal favorite of mine. Speaking of output,
証明できますか？例がありますか？例えば本当にペラペラだったらポッドキャストで1時間に日本人と話してください。頑張ってください、クリスさん。応援していますよ。私より上手と思うけど、私は1時間の日本人と日本語を話せます。だから13年間日本に住んでいる人にとって簡単なはずです。簡単なはずですかな？ 1時間だけです。Yeah, like just speak Japanese for like 1 hour. Yeah, I was Santa and I just walked around giving random Japanese people gifts. That's nice.
But I will add one final criticism of this friend group by saying that unless your language level is at least C2 and you're going to live in Japan for maybe 5 or 10 years or permanently, do not waste your time learning pitch accent. Just do the karaoke singing thing that I suggested earlier and listen to the language a lot.
Yep.
That will make you better at pronunciation than like 99% of Japanese learners.
He's talking about the shit that Matt versus Japan and Dogen did about like selling pitch accent. It's all, I love Matt. Matt's my hot gay son, but I wouldn't tell anyone to sign up for that shit. That's just a waste of time. Like you'll be able to speak better if you just do karaoke or just listen to like thousands of hours of Japanese. You'll get it a lot better.
Outside of that, Dogen is lying to you when he suggests you can learn pitch accent at home just by taking his course. What it actually takes...
Well, Dogen's a grifter who sucks Chris Broad's dick, too, you know? When Chris Broad made that video, Dogen was like, finally. On Twitter, he replied, and he's like, finally, someone said that. That's the day Dogen died in my heart, you know? I had hope for Dogen, and then he's like, Chris, zip, gluck, gluck, gluck. And I'm like, God damn it, Dogen, no, not you. But, you know, again, that's the scary thing about being a YouTuber, man. Like, when you get a lot of money really quickly, you get afraid of, like, losing that money. And so you just start shilling out and losing all your integrity. It's just really sad. What is it? You know, some people just do stuff for money. And that's, like, really sad. I understand, Garth. Yeah. And I will not bow down to any sponsor. Yeah. Accent won't mean shit if you don't go to the vocab to back it up. Exactly, right?
Is an insane amount of rote memorization and constant correction from native speakers. Maybe it's worth it to spend some time learning how to hear some of the patterns because that doesn't take like 10,000 hours, but any more than that is not worth it unless you're going to be on TV or something. Quite honestly, fuck Dogen. I wanted to say that in a video from a few months ago when I talked about Chris's Japanese ability, but I cut it for time. Dogen has helped perpetuate the lie that Chris has a high level of fluency in Japanese by reviewing Chris doing, oh, what a shock, it's a self-introduction around a bunch of non-native speakers, and a teacher who is doing...
Wait, Dogen did a reaction video for this? Oh, God. Dogen, why?
Lessons for beginners. So it's nothing that will actually test his Japanese level. Why I hate Japanese TV? Well, that's easy. It's because your language ability isn't good enough to understand it. And let me be clear, this is malevolent. In this language review video, Dogen throws Joey up on screen first, who is a native speaker, shows a non-routine conversation that would genuinely be difficult for a Japanese learner to do. Most people don't get to this level. Dogen then says that Joey is really good and moves on to Chris and says Chris is also good. So for anyone who knows nothing about languages, which is almost...
What? Chris's Japanese is very clear and easy to understand. That's Japanese way of saying it sucks. I mean, to be fair, Dogen's being very Japanese at that point. It's the taste of a new generation. Yeah. Output is the result of input, according to Crash. I don't know who that is, but yeah, you won't be able... Everyone always says it's important to speak. You need to be able to speak. And like Matt versus Japan was talking about this with his stuff when I did the walk and talk video with him. And like, look, if you don't have a shit ton of input, if you think about it, kids don't really speak until, like, they can't form sentences until they're like 3, right? Like, they can say words and shit maybe around 2, but they're not able to talk, like, articulately until they're maybe, like, 5. And, like, you know, I know because I teach kids, but it's just, like, yeah, like, if a kid takes that long and they learn like sponges, they pick up everything. If you're an adult, like, it's going to take a while for you to... But the thing is like, once you get used to learning, like, listening to Japanese so much, this is going to naturally come out. Because you already have the patterns locked in on your head. It's like if you played, it's like Mario. Everybody who's played Mario, the first level, knows. Like, you run, you jump, you get the mushroom, you jump over the tube, there's a third tube, you can go down and get extra coins. Like, everyone knows that. It's muscle memory. Like, you could pick up Mario 20 years from now. It's like riding a bicycle, right? You just pick it up. Same thing, I think, with input. The more input you do on a daily basis, and with the flashcards that you're doing as well, you're going to remember so much stuff that it's naturally just going to come out. But you got to give it time, and you got to give it a lot of time. And these guys are like, well, you know, yeah, pitch X, you know, you should be speaking from the get-go. I'm like, nah. Like, how are you going to be able to speak accurately when you have no understanding of the language to begin with? Yeah, you know.
Chris's entire audience, they're going to think that Chris is around the level that Joey is. You know, he's not a native speaker, but he's probably pretty close, right? He's almost as good as Joey. I mean, Joey said he passed the JLPT M1 test, and Chris said that he was planning to take that same test, so basically they're around the same level. Meanwhile, Chris can't even read children's books or speak more than like a minute of Japanese without switching to English. Chris and Joey are nowhere near the same level. I'm tired of all the misrepresentations. Anyway, fuck Dogen. I just wanted to add him in as another honorable mention and say that I've talked to multiple native speakers about his pitch accent ability, and they can all still tell that he's not a native speaker. So what's the point of putting all that time in?
Well, Dogen doesn't do video. I mean, Dogen's Japanese is very high and very fluent, but he also does all of his videos scripted, and he has a Japanese wife to check over his script and listen to his video to double check before he puts out the video, so he looks as good as possible. I'd love to see Dogen like actually sit down and have somebody like go over a contract with him, like I had to do for my apartment, and let's see how much stuff he knows, you know? Like, let's see how well he can speak. I want to see him be a speaker at some event, right? You know, because it's just like Dogen is, his Japanese is very good, but at the same time, it's like an illusion. Like my videos, like, it's just me raw outside speaking Japanese to people. I fuck up, like my accent's bad or whatever, but I'm showing it, right? Like, I'm being transparent about it. Him, on the other hand, he's like, well, I have a finely tuned, you know, well-edited video with a script that I made that I had a Japanese person check. If anyone did that, they could look fluent. And it's just, I mean, I get it, right? Chris is a piece of shit who makes a lot of money deceiving people, and Dogen is up there with him, so it's like birds of a feather kind of thing. And I was nice to Dogen because he had cancer for a little bit, and I was like, okay, don't be mean to him. But now I'm like, nah, he dogpiled on Pearl. Fuck him, you know? Like, nah, he's done now.
Ultimately, learning a language takes a while. Nobody becomes an expert in 6 months, so it's best to focus on little victories in your improvement than to constantly ask, when am I going to be fluent? Anyway, thanks for watching. Follow me on Twitter, and I'll see you in the next video.
Oh, that was it? That's the video? Okay, wow. This reaction video is almost 2.5 hours long. Holy fuck. Anyway, yeah, that was a reaction video. Did you make it this far? Did you smash the like button? Of course you did, because you're very smart and attractive, just like me. So guys, do me a favor. If you like this video and you want to see me film it in real time, follow me on Twitch and Kick. The links are down in the video description, as well as the link for the original video as well. Make sure to go subscribe to Think Before You Sleep. the guy's very based and probably very sexual looking as well. And yeah, you know, that's it. And if you want to learn Japanese, if you think my opinion is so cool, you want to learn Japanese, feel free to go over to Patreon. I have a whole Discord dedicated to learning Japanese through immersion, including how to, I don't know if Dogen includes this on his Patreon, but mine goes from, it takes you from 0 all the way to fluent, including job interviews, what tests to pass in order to become a translator, or like to get your foot into a Japanese company. It covers naturalization. I have a whole section on my Discord just dedicated to you going full bore in Japan. And so, and it's only $35 a month. Considering people pay like 500 to thousands plus of money to go to a language school where a bunch of Vietnamese people are just sleeping, that $35 a month seems pretty cheap, huh? And you also get a free book in the mail every month from like a piece of manga or something from Japan. So anyway, yeah, follow the socials, and if you made it this far, type in a secret comment, or no, answer this question. And the question is, I don't know, what's the best sushi? If you like sushi, I like salmon the best. Salmon is awesome. If you don't like sushi, tell me a Japanese food you like. And if there's no Japanese food you like, then you should probably go and just cut yourself. What? No. Sometimes I cut myself, you know, see how deep I could go before I pass out, man. What? Oh, God, no.
It's time you bit the bullet and started caring about something with all your heart and energy. But you can't care about it if you're always holding yourself back in case it doesn't work out.
Yeah, why y'all put cheese on my cheeseburger?
I'm sorry, what?
Shut your bitch ass